Listo? How's everyone doing? Happy Tuesday, martes de español. Um, we're going to continue with our color pencil drawing week. And for today, we thought it'd be cool if we do a complementary color pencil drawing. Yesterday, we worked with a bunch of hues that were analogous. Analogous, if you don't know, means that they're very close together in the color wheel. So yesterday we used, what was it, like pinks and reds and maybe a little bit of like red violets. So if you think about it, if you want to place them in the color wheel, and if you think about it, they're very, very close to each other. And what that means is that the image that you're going to produce, based on those colors, is always going to be harmonious. You're always going to have these color relationships that are not going to be, let's say, dissonant. You're never going to be able to put a color down that it's going to feel out of place. So that's a very cool thing. If you're struggling with color, always feel that the color wheel is actually there to help you. And if you stick to a very small area of the color wheel, particularly just colors that are right next to each other, you're never going to run into trouble. In a painting, we can always run into trouble, or in a color pencil drawing, or in a pastel drawing, anywhere where you're using color to, express, there's always going to be risk, but you minimize that risk. For today, we thought that it'd be cool if we use some of these. This would be like cadmium yellow. I would say like a cadmium yellow, right in the middle, maybe towards the light. And that would be like a cad orange and maybe a cad orange deep. So we're going to go from the yellow to the yellow orange to the orange red, maybe. I'm describing it loosely, but yeah, we're going to stick to the yellow orange and orange side of the hue. And our few accents, because these colors are a little bit lighter, are going to come in the shape and the form of introduction of some blues, which I think it's going to be kind of cool. So I have an idea of what I want to do. I don't know if it's going to work. I can visualize it in my brain, but I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work. But the only way we can make sure if it does work or if it doesn't is by doing it. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with the with a kind of like what would this be? Like a cad orange light. Oranges, I actually took the oranges out of my palette a long, long time ago. So I'm not super familiar with pigments that are orange. The most basic one, at least for me, was cad orange. But I really don't know, what would be in the orange yellow side of the hue and in the orange red side of the hue. Cadmium for me would just kind of cover all of that. But I took it out. I always felt it was redundant to have an orange, particularly if you have like a cad yellow or some sort of yellow in your palette and you have cad red, which is pretty much my palette. So for today's drawing, we're going to draw Danny, amazing Danny, and I want to have like a really nice vertical pull to the drawing. So yesterday we actually moved quite a bit through the drawing. There was a really nice gesture, and that usually happens when we have more of the body. Today we're going to concentrate more on the portrait of Danny and just some sort of cascading hands towards the bottom. But I want my accent to be on the lips and on the eyebrows. So I don't even know if that's going to work, but we'll see. I think this shape... Honestly, I'm not thinking about shoulders or anything, or still the proportion of the head. I'm not really thinking about that. I'm just thinking of where I want that bigger shape to go, and particularly what's going to be the head against the, those fingers that look like sausages, but that we're going to try to make them work, hopefully. We're going to make them somewhat abstract, so they don't bother us that much. So I'm starting very light, but the drawing I'm envisioning, and let's see if we can, make it work, is one where everything is kind of, all the yellow, orange part of the drawing is very light, and I'm going to have an accent of contrast in terms of value, but also in terms of color, because they're complementaries, right there on the lips. It's going to diffuse its way down the hands. And I want, I thought about just making the contrast on the lips, but I thought it would be nice as a way to prepare for that contrast, for that blue of the lips, to have some blue in the eyebrows. So I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll see. I'm still kind of, again, guesstimating. That's the best way to describe how I draw. Guesstimating my proportions. So yeah, so let's see how that works. I think that size is okay. I don't want to be super forceful with my strokes, with the mark making right now, if I want to keep this very, very light. So I have to be mindful of that. I have to be very careful. I struggle a lot with proportions because I'm so used to like distorting all the time that whenever I have to be a little more accurate with my proportions, it's draining. It takes a lot of effort from my part to try to control my drawing that way. But we'll see. And I usually tend to make, for example, my eyes bigger. I tend to make the space just naturally, like the space between, the socket and the nose. I tend to make that space also smaller, and I tend to make the nose bigger. So I think my features, I'm always making them bigger in terms of how they should sit in the proportion of the head. For example, if you take the height of the head, they always feel like a little too large. But I don't know. I just enjoy that. So I'm just gonna very lightly mark where where the lips would be, and this is something that I enjoy doing, and I think I'm gonna do today just because honestly it's something that I really, really like. I like doing it with myself, with Danny, quite a bit, and it's that whenever I have an axis, let's say there is a kind of slight tip of the head. I noticed looking at the drawing from yesterday that I didn't exaggerate that tip of the head as much with Fer. Like Fer's head was like that maybe, and I drew it about that. And it was like, I got mad at myself when I saw the video, because I was like, oh, I missed that completely. And I probably just committed to an angle at the beginning, and I didn't really check it. But it was fine. I mean, it's totally fine. But I did feel like I missed that angle. But what I was saying is I usually love just a symmetry based on the axis. So let's say if this head has this natural axis, many times if I notice that there is a just natural gesture to somebody's feature that feels a little off-center, I'll make it really off-centered, like really, really off-centered. And I really enjoy that. I actually like that quite a bit. I don't know. It's just this, I don't know. I mean, I never see it as flawed, but I just love that there is this supposed order to things. And when I do that, it almost like threatens the order of something. It's almost like hanging a picture crooked. And that sort of stuff can drive people insane. But I think that I love, doing those sort of little things in my drawing. Sometimes they're really obvious and you can totally see what I'm doing. But I love to try and pull those things off in a lot of my paintings and my drawings. So this is nice. This is already, I don't know if you guys can, ¿se puede ver, Linda? Es que, yeah, if you guys could barely, because I can barely see what I'm drawing, but I think it's, I can tell when it's like on the right track, and it already feels like Danny in some ways. So that makes me happy.
They're asking,
yeah?
Is that how caricaturists do it?
I guess so. I've never been really good at caricature. I had a friend, Piero, in school. I talked about him in one of our videos. That was a really, really fantastic caricaturist. And I guess Dice Tsutsumi at the beginning did a bunch of caricature in his paintings. He loves to do that. But I don't know if I do it naturally. I think I over express with my drawing. I don't really know if I'd be good at caricature, to be honest. Not like let's say Jason Seiler or Tom Fluharty. I don't know how to say Tom's name. He's incredible. He's an incredible caricaturist. But yeah, there's a bunch of amazing people. Dominic Filbert, I think that's his last name. Let me check. I don't want to screw up Dominic's last name. Yeah, Dominic Filibert. He's a very, very good caricaturist too. So there's a bunch that I follow on Instagram that are really, really amazing at doing that. I don't. I think, again, I think I favor what I would say it's expression. But I don't know if I could be a good caricaturist. Not like Sebastian Kruger. ¿Te acuerdas del nombre del artista que mostramos, del que hablamos en ese video? Oh, there's this caricaturist, another German guy that we talked about in a video. I was asking Danny if she remembered.
No.
But
¿Te acuerdas la semana? Si quieres busco.
It's when I did the color pencil drawing of Kruger,
Okay.
of Sebastian Kruger. I think I talked about him in that week, but I don't remember his name, and he's brutal. He's incredible.
Lo voy a buscar.
Yeah, he does like Angela Merkel. I remember like Angela Merkel caricatures. Who else did he did a caricature of? Maybe you guys can help me if you guys remember. I mean, kudos to you if you guys remember that video and remember his name. But yeah, I don't know if I would be a good caricaturist. I don't think so.
No, I don't see.
No, maybe I'll remember throughout the video, or maybe somebody will remember throughout the video. But yeah.
Buenas, Dani y Nicolás. Antes de
Buenas tardes. Con las buenas tardes. El que llega saluda. Qué pena.
Sí,
Sí, me fui.
lo alargaste.
Sí.
Antes de empezar a dibujar, ¿eres capaz de visualizar esa imagen final que quieres conseguir o improvisas?
Yo creo que las dos cosas. O sea, trato de decir cómo, bueno, o sea, trato de entender qué es lo que voy a hacer, pero también soy muy consciente, y pues yo creo que eso nos pasa a todos, que la imagen que uno visualiza, pues muchísimas veces no es la imagen que uno termina logrando resolver, digamos. Entonces, eso para mí es como ya algo que acepto con naturalidad. By the way, can I show you guys something that is so not me? This is Jeff Watts, who is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. He's an incredible draftsman. I think he's a fantastic teacher too. If you've never seen the Watts Atelier videos, you should check those out because he's really remarkable. And I think you can trace him back to like I think you could trace like his education and the people that taught him down to Cornwall, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot of like really nice old school kind of golden age illustration there that it's pretty remarkable. But I saw him do this once, which is really cool because my eyes would never kind of match. I would always have like a crooked eye, or one was a little bit higher than the other. And because I'm not a person that would measure a lot of stuff or would do like tiny little marks to see where things would line up, that was always like something that bothered me. I mean, not super, super bothered me, but it irked me sometimes. And I saw Jeff Watts do this once, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm so doing that from now on. Like, he would take the moment of the brow where you could see that the socket is kind of turning, and he would just go across it to the other side and try to find that one moment of the other brow. And he would do the same thing with the top of the lid. Like he would go across and find where the top of the lid, which would speak about like the eyeball underneath, was on the other side. And that's amazing because sometimes I would go for the eyelashes to try to match them, but that's not really a good practice because sometimes the gesture of the lash is not the same from eye to eye, or just the positioning of the eye. Like if one eye, for example, Danny's looking to our left, her right, and that would always give me trouble. But this cleared a lot of stuff up for me, and it's a super easy gesture to do, to follow. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, that actually helps a ton. And it was just a super, super simple thing to do, but it helped me. I mean, maybe for some of you guys was like, yeah, we do that all the time, but I never used to do any of that. And first time I did it and it worked, I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm keeping that. Like, that makes total sense.
I was... Oh, sorry.
No, dale.
No, es que encontré el caricaturista.
Ah, okay. What's his name?
Yeah, you spoke about Frank Hoffman.
Oh, okay. Hoffman?
Hoffman?
Hoffman.
Yeah, this one. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
this one.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Yeah, so Frank Hoffman.
Yeah, that's amazing. But he's brutal. He's like a Ralph Steadman-esque caricaturist. So good. Let me try to find the eyes here a little bit better. I don't feel like I have them quite well.
Nicolas, how do you feel about grading or projecting or using proportional divider?
Oof, that last one, I have no idea what that is. Proportional divider. Is that the little like window, or that little thing that you can use to check your to check your ratio? I don't know. That device I've never heard of in my life.
I just googled it.
Oh,
like
that's
this?
like the ones that sculptors use. Okay, it's like a caliper almost, like a compass. No, I've never used that one, to be honest. And gridding, I've only gridded my drawings to transfer them onto a larger surface. Like if I have a drawing that I've worked on where I feel like it was a complex composition and it was really tough to solve, and I want exactly what I was able to solve in that drawing, I want that to be part of the final painting. Yeah, those are the moments where I feel comfortable. And again, this is not I'm not going to say you shouldn't. This is not about doing, something that I feel is wrong. But I just don't feel comfortable transferring a drawing or gridding a photograph. I don't do that. I've never projected a photograph. I just don't feel... I've explained it this way. I feel it's not like you're cheating, because I don't think the word cheating in art just makes sense. I really don't. You can only cheat yourself. I can understand you cheating yourself, which would mean that you're convincing yourself that you're an incredible draftsperson, while in reality you're just kind of copying a drawing. So that to me would be the problem. But in terms of picture making, yeah, you could trace and project and do whatever you want. I mean, one of the illustrators that I respect most in my life is Norman Rockwell, and he famously projected his photographs. And for example, Alphonse Mucha did, he gridded his photographs when he did his drawings. So there are plenty of examples. And these are just more contemporary examples, but in the past, there were also ways in which you could, I'm sure you guys are familiar with that Albrecht Dürer drawing, where he has a grid in front of him and he's kind of tracing on that piece of paper. So gridding has been part of what we do for, centuries, or understanding how to transfer the proportions that we see in nature onto a substrate has been part of what we do. So I don't have any issues with that. I don't do it. I just feel it's much more interesting. I think a drawing is an opportunity. I always feel that drawing is a wonderful opportunity. And yes, you're going to have to, deal with a ton of frustration when you encounter yourself, yeah, like your shortcomings through drawing. But aside from that, if you are quickly able to accept that, sure, drawing is tough and your drawings are always going to be sort of off, and you have to work really hard to try to make them feel like, you know, that like they answer to what you want, you know, what you want them to do. Um, if you come to terms with that, you're going to have a wonderful time understanding that drawings are not just meant to be accurate. Like, the purpose of drawing is not solely to be accurate. And I feel that that's super, super important for me. And, you know, when thinking that I could have the opportunity to grid something or to trace something in order to assure myself the possibility of being just a tiny bit more faithful to nature, I much rather take the chance on being wrong and learning something about myself than this kind of false sense of assuredness that you're creating for yourself. I don't think you can generate like a good relationship with nature if you are just constantly thinking of oh, the objective, my only objective has to be not mess up, like don't f up, like that's the only thing that matters. Don't just be always faithful to nature. Don't, you know, don't f up. And you become so scared of messing up that you welcome every single opportunity that you have to minimize that risk. But I think, you know, I would get very lazy. I could see myself becoming incredibly lazy if I started to project images. And I think both in Danny's and my case, I think the people that we enjoy the most, the artists that we enjoy the most, there's always something kind of wrong about them. Like, their drawing doesn't really have to, you know, it's kind of like there is a celebration of nature in the drawing, but it's never about it solely being being right. I think that being right is something that's kind of boring, to be honest, or boring in the sense that it can be predictable. Let's call it that, I feel. And if it's predictable, then there's no kind of sense of discovery when you're looking at something, or you don't go like, oh my God, look what she did. Like, that can work. Like, I think both Danny and I love when that happens. Yeah. Like, people that, you know, they solve things in ways that you could never imagine. And you go like, wow, how did that work? Like, that doesn't make sense. And we usually say things like that doesn't make sense when we're comparing it to nature, you know, to how things are in nature. So I don't know. I'm much more willing to sacrifice, again, the apparent accuracy of something for the sake of discovery, for the sake of finding something new about ourselves or about, you know, other people, or the wonder, to feel like that wonder in the sense of how other people view nature. I think that those things are amazing. So, yeah, and I think both Danny and I kind of share that sensibility.
Yeah. They're saying, for me, tracing is like making a crossword with the solution on the side. Where is the fun? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, again, I don't want to sound judgy or, because I know that I wouldn't really say it as a blanket statement, again, because a lot of the people that I've you know, whose work I respect and enjoy, you know, in the past, I'm not even talking about nowadays, but in the past, used those aids. So, and I can see past those aids. I think that they had such an enormous ability that I can actually understand what was, you know, lying underneath. But it doesn't work for me. And I don't want to speak for Danny, but because I think Danny feels a little bit stronger on that, you know, on that particular kind of theme than me. But I don't want to speak for her. But I think we both, you know, as something that we share, like we just don't care for it. Like, we don't like it. We don't see much value in doing something like that.
Yeah, and you're saying that I feel a little bit stronger about that, but it maybe is because when I was at university studying, I saw a lot of people that used all those tools just to like believe that they were better at drawing or painting that they really were.
Mm-hmm.
So it was super sad because I think that they never gave themselves the chance to know how they were really at drawing or painting or whatever, because they were using that tool and that was enough for them. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a little bit sad when you just use it to make people like wow with the things that you do, because it's not sincere. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I guess that's what I was kind of saying, that or that was kind of what I was alluding to. The bigger problem is when you start to lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Because I've met a lot of artists. We're not going to talk names because it doesn't serve any purpose, but I've met a lot of artists that, they do that in their own practice, but when, for example, they're invited to paint from life or draw from life, they start to feel this like, existential dread, because now they haven't done that for so long that they feel super, super insecure about who they are as an artist. And I just feel like that art is not supposed to make you insecure about, your work. Your work, regardless of how good or bad it is, or how much you struggle or not, it's supposed to make you feel amazing, because you're making like all these discoveries about yourself. Like, sure, you're gonna be frustrated from time to time, but not to the point where you're dreading kind of working in front of people as if you've deceived people for a very long time. I think that's again, that has to do more with us lying to ourselves, and that's a problem that we have to deal with ourselves. So I much rather just openly struggle about something and feel like, yeah, this is drawing, and say drawing is tough. Like, the people that are extraordinary drafts people are gifted, or they work incredibly hard at gaining that ability, but for most of us it's just always going to be tough, and but the fact that it's tough doesn't mean that we can't enjoy it, I feel. So
Yeah, and when you were talking about like doing something live, like in front of people,
mm-hmm.
like it's okay for you to feel uncomfortable, but because your flaws and the things that you're not good at, but that's part of growing and learning how to draw or paint. But if you're feeling terrible because the people that you have shown your work to have an expectation that is completely different to the reality of what you are capable to do without that tools, that is what is a little bit sad, I think.
Yeah, and people suffer for it again.
Yeah.
So it's a very sad thing. I don't think, again, learning something about yourself and suffering for it is a sort of healthy part of what we do. I think at the core of what we do, the all the struggling and all the suffering, it's actually like really, really good. And we're not being like masochistic. Like, no, it's just that's just part of this process. So I've had to move the eye, as we were saying, that I was very, very off with that initial eye. And we're doing the same thing as yesterday. I don't want to erase anything. So I want to make those, I want to evidence the moments where I was, off. I think those are important for myself as well as for the drawing. Drawing is more about searching. It's like this traversal through forms and shapes and gestures where you're just trying to find your way. And they are testaments of roads that we thought were going to lead to answers, and maybe we realized, wow, I was way, way off. So I was a little off. I wasn't way, way off with that eye, but I think I was a little off. I'm still not very sure about the positioning of that eye, but I already committed to it, so I think that there's no way back now because I think it's already there. So I usually go for noses. I'm fascinated by noses. I think Danny has like this incredible structure on her nose. Not because it's a nose, like I don't know. It's just the structure in a nose is just it's again it's fascinating to me because I think that it's a form thing. You know, I think that if there is a through line in my work, it has to do with form, and I've always been attracted to form. So I think the form in the nose is just fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating to me. And Danny has like a very sharp kind of pixie-like nose, which is awesome. Mine is like a potato, I feel. You know, potato right out of the earth. That would be my nose. So my nose, yeah, it's kind of bulbous and round, but Danny's has like all these like little breaks on the tip. It's so cool. So I love drawing her nose.
Desde que comencé a pintar en formatos más pequeños, se me hace muy complicado pintar en grandes lienzos y quedar contenta con el resultado. ¿Cuál es tu sentimiento respecto a tus obras en gran formato?
Uy, pero es que como, o sea, puedo tratar de hacer o sea, puedo tratar de suponer cómo me siento, pero es que como no he vuelto a pintar grande, en realidad me estaría anticipando un poco a decir cómo me siento. Pero puedo suponer que va a ser un poco difícil, pero ¿cómo se llama la persona, Linda?
Eh, Se llama, no sé si pronuncio bien, discúlpame, se llama Genar, Henar
Sí,
Bayón.
sí, Genar o Enar. De pronto, una manera súper fácil, que es como muy básica de salir de ese problema, es usa pinceles mucho más grandes, de pronto brochas como las que uno usaría para pintar, no sé, la pared. Usa esas brochas en vez de pinceles y utiliza mucha más pintura, mucha más pintura y mantén mucha distancia entre tú y la pintura, digamos. Y yo creo que esa es como una forma súper bonita de tratar de acercarse a las enseñanzas que puede otorgarle a uno el trabajar pequeño. Eso puede ser una buena manera.
No pude estar la semana pasada viéndolos vivos porque estaba haciendo una guía en un cementerio en Argentina. Era un
Wow.
recorrido especial con la temática de fantasmas y eso me hace pensar, ¿Do you believe in ghosts? ¿En
Uy,
inglés?
sí, si quieres respondo en inglés, pero súper chévere esa guía.
¿Quieres entonces cuenta un poco?
Yeah, so somebody from Argentina is saying that they were doing
His
a
name is Lázaro.
Lázaro was doing a ¿cómo se dice? Como
Like a guided tour,
like
maybe?
perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a guided tour of cemeteries where there were stories, I guess, like famous stories of ghosts. I think in New Orleans you could do that too. It's a very integral part of the story of New Orleans, and you can have those tours too, which are really kind of cool. And Lázaro was asking if I believe in ghosts. Danny can answer after me, but I don't. I really don't. I don't believe in anything kind of supernatural, to be completely honest. I mean, in terms of probability, I have to believe that there are other civilizations in this universe. I have no idea what they would look like, or if there are, if they have the same rationale as we do, if they have the same ability to understand or question nature as we do. I have no idea, but in terms of probability, you have to at least say that maybe, societies like ours exist, or that behave like ours exist in the universe. But as far as ghosts, no, I don't believe in any of that. In fact, I would say, Lázaro could correct me if I'm wrong in this, but I would say that the stories of ghosts are dying. I think they were far more prevalent with our grandparents and our parents, but you very rarely see people telling stories of ghosts nowadays. Like, you very rarely see people of my generation, or for example Danny's generation, speaking about ghosts. And for example, here in Colombia, I would say that the more rural parts of Colombia, they if you ask people, I'm positive that like 99% of them would tell you that they do believe in ghosts. Um, but I don't know. I think as cities grow, and I don't know, as generations change, I feel like that sort of history has been disappearing in, in a sense, and that gives you an idea of how, they were just stories. They were stories to try, to explain. I don't know. I don't even know what they were trying to explain, but it's almost like fables. Like, the origin of fables was just like telling your children not to go out at night. So, they invented like all these people, like, for example, here in Bogota, they would say, oh, there's people in the, there's this being in the jungle, so you can't go out at night. Like, you can't step out at night. And that would make the kids not leave the camp at night. But I don't think that those stories are prevalent anymore. So I don't know. Maybe if somebody has a good ghost story. I have one of my mother. So I could start with that one of my mother that happened in our house, and maybe if you guys have a cool story, you can just go after me. But the one in my house happened when we were, I'm not sure. I was probably around 12, 11, 12, maybe. And I'm guessing my mother's father, my grandfather, had died maybe, recently at that moment, fairly recently at that moment. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe. I'm playing like also psychologist here. So I'm like Britta in in Community. But maybe it was a little bit of that. But my mother was alone downstairs, and in my family, there's always been this mirror, this very, very old mirror that has like this weird copper frame, this very irregular kind of curvy copper, almost like Deco-ish, Art Deco-ish frame. I think, have you seen it, Danny?
Yeah,
¿Te acuerdas?
it's like ornament.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
It's not a common mirror, and it was hanging right next to the bathroom downstairs in my house, and
Which, by the way, that bathroom is a little bit scary.
yeah, it's always it was my brother's friends used to always think that that part of my house was haunted. Like, they could swear that there were ghosts like down there. So it is a kind of strange place. My sister, when she was younger, when we were young, she would never go downstairs by herself. Like, she would always tell me to go downstairs with her. Like, if she wanted something to eat or something, she would always go downstairs. She would ask me to go downstairs with her. And but anyways, so my mother was alone downstairs, and she went to the bathroom. Or no, but that wasn't hanging. No, maybe it was hanging in the bathroom at that moment. I'm just trying to remember. And she saw a reflection of a person that initially she said she thought that she was getting a reflection, like a bounced reflection from like the door outside or something. Like, her brain told her, oh, that's the front door, and I'm just getting like the reflection off of a piece of glass of somebody who's at the front door. And she kind of thought it was that. And the cool thing about this story is that my mom says that she actually walked back, that it's not like a thing that she glanced over and she saw it for like, this one time, but it was something that she was like, wait, what is that? And she had to go back to look at it. And then she says she saw this person that was part of our family that helped bring up my mom. It was this older woman that helped, I guess, her mother, my grandmother, bringing up my mother. And this woman, Sole, she also helped my mom, bring us up when we were kids, and we were 5, so I'm guessing we were a handful. And she was this incredible. Sole was just an incredible, amazing part of our family. She's like one of the. I think if there are angels, oh my God, I'm already like OA.
Yeah, the OA.
Yeah, but if there are angels in this world, that woman was an angel. It's like she was one of the most kind and just compassionate people I've ever seen in my life. and she had passed away maybe at that moment also somewhat recently, and she said she saw her. Like she was very very sure that she saw her. So I could say this. My mother, I mean, she's very religious, but my mother's never like irrational about things. I mean, Danny knows her already,
Yeah.
and no, I don't know. I would never categorize my mom as being overly dramatic or just
Yeah, or making up that
yeah,
kind
or
of
making up
things.
stuff. No,
Yeah.
never, ever, ever.
Never.
Maybe she exaggerates a few things, but never, never like those sort of stories. And she was like shocked. She was really, really shocked. And she went upstairs and she told all of us. And what naturally happened is that we were all scared like shitless. I'm sorry. And we all, I don't know if maybe my brother didn't care, but I know for sure, like my sister and my younger sisters, we all put like our mattresses or like we brought our sheets to my mother's room. And that night we all slept in my mother's room, all of us. I mean, this was like, it was crazy what that bedroom looked like. But yeah, we were all scared. We were all like little kids. So yeah, I would say like my mother would say she believes 100% in ghosts. I have to say like after that experience that wasn't even my own, it was my mother's. I've never ever had an experience like I would be the first person. I could tell you right now, like I would gladly, if there were ghosts in this apartment,
Oh no,
I would
here
tell them,
no.
please
No.
look for me tonight and try to talk to me tonight. Like I'm super open to talking to any ghosts. I think it would be amazing. I would love to talk to ghosts. I mean, that would be incredible because if you think about it, all the answers would be there. Every single answer, like these bigger answers about our existence would be right there, right there, you know. So I would love to, for the sake of just knowledge, I would love to talk to a ghost or see one. You know, if I see a ghost, I think my life changes for sure. But no, and I'm always super open. I'm always like, please, you know. But yeah, hasn't happened yet. So yeah, so I don't believe in ghosts or witches or witchery or dark magic or anything like that. No, I always think like if people believe in dark magic, why don't they do anything to win the lotto? Like, don't do stupid stuff like, oh, that husband that left you, I'll bring him back. Don't do stupid stuff like that. Like, just ask for the lotto numbers, and you're fine. You don't need to work just trying to, force people to get back together, which is what basically like witches do here in Bogota or in Colombia. What are the people saying?
They
A lot of
were
believers?
saying,
Nobody cares?
no, someone said, lack of education leads on believing in things like this. Someone said, oh, Brita was in there when you talk about Brita, that you felt like Brita.
Oh shit! Yeah, with I'm like a psych major.
They said, wait, I lost it, but I read that someone said that you didn't believe in ghosts.
No.
Oh, here, you don't believe in ghosts?
No.
Just workhouse. LOL.
Just what?
Workhouse.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's not a ghost. That's a very plausible, being that when the moon. I mean, we didn't do that one when we had the warehouse. It was so easy. It was so there. But when the moon is out, I'm not gonna say it again. They just it's a farmer that transforms at night. That's totally plausible.
Yeah.
So let's go just a little bit on the drawing. I'm gonna start introducing this blue because I want this blue here and bottom lips. And again, I'm offsetting that that axis. So I'm throwing those lips towards that side. I'm doing that on purpose. I actually really, really like doing those sort of things. Danny doesn't mind that she's my excuse for doing these exercises in asymmetry. So,
Um, Someone else said the OA, my heart broke when the series got cancelled.
oh, it got canceled?
Yeah.
We're watching a series that got canceled?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not watching anymore. Because we were like super sad. Danny is like one of these true crime junkies.
Yeah.
She is. You are.
But wait, Crime Junkie is a podcast. That's why I always say Crime Junkie. But
Okay.
I don't know if
But that's what
people-
defines you. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's the perfect word that defines you.
Mm.
So we were watching. Do you remember the name of the series? I don't even
Which
remember
one?
it now. The one that
Oh.
the one that they were interviewing like serial murders.
Wait. I need to Google it.
And they had, I think, 2 seasons, right?
Yeah, I think.
And we were like super invested in those 2 seasons. And when we realized that there was supposedly going to be a 3rd season,
Wait, I have.
or it was a David Lynch. It was a David Lynch series. So maybe some of you guys know which series it was.
Mindhunter. Yeah, Mindhunter.
Wasn't it a David
No,
Lynch?
wait.
Am I totally mistaken?
Oh, ¿sí era? Mindhunter? Creo que sí. Yeah, yeah, Mindhunter. And
Who was the writer?
yeah, I'm trying to look
Not the
for
director,
that,
but just the writer, I think it was.
wait. Mm, no, no.
It wasn't Lynch. Who
no,
was it?
they're
It
saying
was
writers: Joe Penhall, Elizabeth Hanna,
or
Joshua
the producer, maybe.
program creator Joe Penhall.
No, it had like a big name. Who was it?
Um,
There's a big name attached to that. It wasn't Lynch.
They're saying Fincher, maybe.
Oh, Fincher. Yeah,
Yeah.
David Fincher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was saying, well, I don't know why I was thinking Lynch. Like, no, he wasn't.
Yeah, they're saying no.
No.
it's not Lynch.
It wasn't like Twin Peaks thing. No. Fincher. That's
Yeah,
who
yeah.
it was. Yeah. So
it
he was a.
really good, that series.
Yeah. It was. Well, it was getting
I
better.
liked it.
I feel it was really kind of getting better, and we were like, oh, this is getting cool. Like the story, you could kind of sense things kind of coming together, and I think Fincher didn't return, like said that he couldn't return to the series, and that was it. And that happened like pandemic, I feel.
But we didn't knew that it was.
Yeah, we had
terrible.
no idea. And so we were
we
watching it thinking
Yeah.
like, yeah, season 3 is coming. And when we read about it, like
Yeah.
immediately after the season 2 finished, we were like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating, I feel.
Yeah, they're saying Mindhunter was produced by David Fincher.
Oh, Fincher.
Fight
Yeah, there we
Club
go.
and Seven.
Yeah. That obviously makes sense. There's a
Yeah.
ton of 7 in Mindhunter.
Camila O'Gorman says, buenísima la de los serial murders. Sí, based on a true character. Yeah, but it's Camila. I'm gonna be a little nerd, but it's serial killers. But yeah, they're saying there's a podcast called Atlanta Monster, which is the last season of Mindhunter.
What?
Ay, Nicolás.
Oh yeah, he was from Atlanta. The guy that they were actually they were followed. Well, I'm guessing that they were starting to yeah, because season 2 is where they start to realize that there is a serial killer behind those murders, and that dude was super scary. He was super freaky. What was he like? Air like an air condition. He was like what did he do? Like cable repair or air conditioning repair or something
Wait,
like that.
I wasn't paying attention to you because I was reading the question. So
you
can
never paid attention. No, the guy that was the serial killer in the I mean, he was an actual serial killer, so in the show.
Which one?
The guy the guy with the mustache.
Oh, wait. I am thinking Edmund. Edmund?
I forget.
Yeah, Edmund Kemper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. He was. No, it doesn't say. But this one, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No. The one that they were
Which
trying.
one?
No, the one that we would see the image. Like we would see him with his wife.
Oh, the one from the big story.
Yeah, like the
Yeah,
bigger like through line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was.
Do you remember that he went to a house and he
Yeah,
was like
yeah.
repairing like their cable or,
Yeah.
or
I-
like
I
an
don't know
alarm
why I think-
system?
yeah, I was
Something
thinking
like that.
about something of security, like the security of the house, maybe an alarm or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a good show. We were liking it, and then no, canceled.
They're saying, was it cancelled? Last time I read about it was on in- indefinite hold.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying canceled, I feel.
Yeah. So they're saying, les recomiendo Sucesión.
Pero a
¿Listo?
Dani porque es fanática de
Oh, yeah, because...
asesinos en serie
No,
o
¿qué? ¿O cómo vas a decir que soy fanática
fanática de las
asesinos en
historias
serie?
no, a ver, fanática de las historias. Nadie va, o sea, todo, creo que todo el mundo entendió.
Sí, pero no. ¿Cómo vas a decir así? Sí, la voy a buscar. A mí todo eso me gusta. Y Nicolás, como decía, yo escucho un podcast que se llama Crime Junkies. A mí me parece muy interesante porque en un momento yo pensé en estudiar criminalística, pero mucho antes. Pero sí. A Nicolás sí no le gusta.
Pero si te pones a pensar, yo fui el que te introdujo a esos podcasts de NPR. Al
Serial.
al de Serial y al otro, al de
¿Cuál?
S-Town, ¿te acuerdas?
Sí, pero porque yo no oía podcast antes.
Sí, pero pues, o sea,
Sí.
de nada.
Sí, gracias. A ver. Iván dice, labios azules como después del Bonais.
Sí.
They're saying, did you ever watch the Hannibal TV show? No, I think we haven't.
No, we I think we remember we started the Dexter one once and then we got kind of bored with that one.
Yeah, but I watch a lot of like docu-series on Netflix about...
Oh yeah, our suggestions. Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm actually watching one now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you
It's called
serial?
Trial by Media. Yeah. Sí. While I paint. A ver, Camila Ogerman dice, a mí también me gusta todo lo de asesinos en serie, documentales buenísimos hay. Camila, recomiéndame. Yo siempre estoy buscando buenos documentales sobre true crime, entonces...
No, hay unos que debo aceptar que son historias como fascinantes, pero es que a mí me traumatiza mucho eso.
Sí. Camila dice, thank you for not studying criminalística, Dani.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it was... perdón, no sé por qué dije en inglés. Ah, no, sí estaba en inglés. It was when I was maybe in 9th grade.
In kindergarten.
Yeah. No, like 8th grade, 9th grade. Yeah, but then...
Yeah, but that's not, like, in 8th grade, I knew that I only wanted to do, art.
Yeah, but I wanted art and criminalística.
So you're a sketch artist.
Yeah. No. A ver. Voy a hacer una pregunta cambiando de tema.
Sí.
¿Bueno?
Yeah, let's bring it
Sí,
back.
por
Bring it
favor.
back to the drawing, please. There's people there that are like, oh my God, what are these lives about?
A ver. No. Nicolas, I wanted to congratulate you. I'm always following your videos, and I really think it's a unique project in the world. Which Latin artists do you admire the most right now?
Um, I think that probably of past generations, I would say I'm still more kind of fascinated with generations that are before me. But muéstrales como Iturria.
Voy. Me demoro un poquito.
Que creo que a ti te gusta Iturria,
Sí.
de pronto. No, no sé si te gusta tanto como a mí, pero...
Sí. Esta, ¿puedo mostrar esta que me
Sí,
encanta?
fantástico.
A ver.
Y si está Camila y también Cuitca, por ejemplo.
Sí,
Cuitca a mí me
ese.
encanta.
Voy a mostrar uno por ahora porque me demoro en ponerlos.
Ah, bueno, bueno.
Pero sí. Pero la pregunta si quieres era en inglés. Porque
Oh,
yo creo
so
que quedó perdido.
Iturria, I think it's wonderful. It's a very, let's say, post Dubuffet sort of has like an outsider feel to it that I absolutely adore. There's a kind of clumsiness to it that it's pretty amazing. So I'm usually more drawn towards works like that than bigger names in like Latin American art. I feel. I mean, well, Iturria is like huge. So, but yeah, I really enjoy him. Past painters, the Venezuelan painter Reverón. I think that he's also incredible, and he's. I mean, his life was just fascinating. The fact that he was kind of like a little crazy, and he lived like in this hut on the beach. But just the images that he produced, just formally, like the formal qualities of those images, they're just fascinating to me. What he did with value is just incredible, and the sense of atmosphere, light, is just amazing.
Yeah, so this one. Wait.
Yeah, so that's Iturria.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it a little bit bigger. Yeah.
Y puedes ponerle como los colchones de Cuitca, que son con los mapas, que son wow, son increíbles
Es
también.
muy raro tu desktop. O sea, guardo las imágenes y se desaparecen.
¿En el desktop?
Sí.
No.
No me aparecen, me toca guardarlas 2 veces.
No, quién sabe. Ahora me va a encontrar con duplicados de imágenes.
¿Qué me dijiste que buscara, perdón?
A Cuitca,
Ya. Sí, 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 sí.
K-U-I-T-S-A.
Voy a hacerte una pregunta mientras.
Sí, sí.
Mm, eh,
So, or I'll speak a little bit
Yeah,
about. Yeah, I'm concerned. I mean, not super worried, but a little concerned about the introduction of this blue here. I mean, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be kind of off-putting in many ways. And what would be easiest, I would say, or what would be most expected, would be for me to take some of this blue and just use it for my accent in my darks. But I don't know if I want to do that. That's why I said that I wanted to have it in 2 places, which would be here. And I know that I said that I wasn't going to start with my yellows or oranges, because they do affect that blue. You know, once I put, notice the difference between the blue here and the blue here, which was kind of clean. It's very evident, but I didn't want to have that here. I want it to be sort of like a cleaner blue, but that means that there's going to be a bit more, I don't know, a bit more contrast and like rejection of those 2 colors, which I'm kind of fine with, but yeah, but it just feels a little bit stranger. And I was hoping that by putting some of this here, it's more than enough for your kind of mind's eye to say, okay, I'm gonna expect some blueness somewhere else. It's not going to be surprising when I have a sense of this blueness.
Yeah, so this one is Kwiatka.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, so amazing.
Sorry, I think it just like popped in the screen super big for just a second. Es que puse la imagen,
I know, no importa.
pero
And Kwiatka has like a series of paintings that are also like architectural kind of planes of the I think they are theaters, but I don't know why. I think they're also panopticos. I think maybe I'm super mistaken, but they're also like incredible.
this one's
Yeah, well, those are like theaters, but hay unos que son como desde la vista como desde arriba. Sí, como esos, son como
Oh, like
teatros, como
this one.
coliseos o sí, son increíbles
Yeah.
esos. Uf. I tend to like things that have nothing to do with what I do, to be completely honest. And one of my favorite illustrators, you know, if not, would I say he's my favorite? Jorge Gonzalez?
Yeah, maybe it's your favorite.
Yeah, maybe he's incredible too. He's from Argentina also. So again, I don't differentiate anything. I mean, the fact that he's an illustrator, I'm just pointing that out, but not to say, oh, those are like Kwiatka and Iturria are my favorite artists, but my favorite illustrator would be Jorge Gonzalez. No, to me they're the same. I mean, they're exactly the same. But Jorge Gonzalez is incredible, absolutely incredible. If you enjoy illustrated books, I think I have all of them. I think I have all of Jorge Gonzalez's illustrated books, but I don't know. You know, any of those. With any of those, you are, you know, it's a sure bet. You're never going to get anything that's bad with him. So if you enjoy illustration, and if you don't know Jorge Gonzalez, particularly if you enjoy like illustrated books, maybe some graphic novels, oh, do yourself a favor. I think he's an absolute genius, like really, really an absolute genius.
They're asking, do you ever use the longer side of your drawing mediums to fill bigger shapes? If not, may I ask why you don't?
Oh, like this. This you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I understand it correctly. Yeah, sometimes. I think in the drawing that we did yesterday, there was an area that I wanted to cover quickly, and I did that. But I don't know if you've noticed, but my mark making kind of follows the gesture of form, and I feel really it's really kind of cool when I can echo the gesture of form and at the same time model something, like develop the volume of those shapes. So it just gives me an opportunity to do both of those things. So I know it's more time consuming. I know the other way is just super effective, but I like to build up my areas of you know, if I have a darker area of or whatever area that I'm trying to develop in form, I try to deal with them that way, and I feel in the end it's far more interesting than if I just felt that I needed to. I'm not saying that you suggested that, but to fill space. Like I never think about filling space. I always feel that all of those decisions are drawn, like they're drawn decisions, so they're super important. Again, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be important if you do this. But there's a difference, like a pretty big difference in texture in terms of those strokes and the strokes that are built up by almost like hatching. So I don't know. It gives a character to my drawing that I enjoy. So.
They're saying, hey, speaking of following form with line, you should
Yeah.
check out this artist by the name El Mac. I think you'd enjoy his work. So I'm gonna Google.
El Mac.
El
Does he
Espacio Mac.
Does he have like an Instagram user? I'm looking for him right now. Mac Arte. Yeah. And he does like murals also. ¿Sí, Linda? ¿Sí tiene sentido con quien estoy viendo?
Creo. Y Camila Ogorman dice que Cuitca hizo el nuevo telón del Teatro Colón y lo dejó increíble y te lo quería mostrar, mira. Es como de las
What?
panópticas que hablabas. Sí,
Wow.
está increíble.
Uf, espectacular. Es
Mira,
un artistote. Para
mira,
mí
mira.
es, sí.
Divino.
Para mí, como de los artistas visuales, es de los mejores artistas visuales, o sea, que existen en la actualidad, como artistas contemporáneos. Para mí es genial. Yo no sé no sé cuál es la visión que se tiene dentro de Argentina de él, pero para mí es como un genio. No sé
Em,
cuál es la percepción, si de pronto él es más, como que más grande, digamos, por fuera que adentro, pero me puedes más o menos dar una idea o nos puedes dar una idea, Camila.
Rosalind says, when I was a child, any book illustrated by Edward Gorey
Oh,
made me so
yeah.
happy. Pen
Yeah,
and ink
Gory is amazing.
drawings. There's my suggestion.
Yeah, Gory's amazing. He's incredible.
Yeah, they're saying, how about David Kazan? His drawing is super.
Yeah, he has a very disciplined drawing. Very disciplined drawing. I think he's done that project that he's been doing with World War II Jewish survivors is remarkable. I think the sentiment behind that project is commendable, and he's a super nice guy. I think when he participated with the painting, the portrait that he did of his mother on the BP, I forget what year that was. Maybe 2015-ish, maybe I'm off by a little bit, but that painting of his mother is incredible. That portrait of his mother is just absolutely remarkable. So I think he won third prize in that competition, and it's very well deserved. I know that third prize seems like, what? It's just third prize, but no. Just getting a prize on that competition it's so difficult, that it's to be celebrated. I think that's a wonderful competition. It's a shame that it's the BP. I mean, I've always said it, like, why does it have to be that the most generous competition in the world for portraiture, has to be linked to the BP? So, British Petroleum, for those of you who maybe don't know, but yeah, it's just ugh.
Can you talk some more about how you use analogous color to model form? It seems like you use them not as colors but as tones.
Yeah, probably. I think that you answered that quite nicely there. Yeah, I don't think of them so much as yes, a yellow is going to be here, and then there's going to be this moment where I need an orange, or when I need that orange red. I think that if you look at my work, to be completely honest, I think it's all value driven. I wouldn't, it wouldn't shame me to say that color has never been my forte. Like, I'm even very open about that. I mean, that's why when I speak about palettes that I enjoy in my own painting practice, I always point out a Zorn palette, or I always point out palettes that are tonal palettes, or where the actual I guess wealth of possibilities that you would have in hues or in saturation, it's not really important. And I've been super open about that. And I just feel that that's the sort of painter that I am. I do enjoy color, but I would never, ever categorize myself as a good colorist. I think that there's tons of painters out there that can do that far better than I do. I enjoy my, excursions in color and just trying things out. But I know that it's not a place where I feel tremendously comfortable. So for sure, when I favor something with my own work, it has to do with value. It almost certainly on almost always have to do with value, and I think that would be the case, regardless of what tool I end up using. So it doesn't matter that it's a color pencil. It doesn't matter that it would be gouache. I mean, I don't feel totally outside of my comfort zone when I try to make it about color. And I think I've used a lot of this project to teach myself how to be a little more comfortable with color. But you're right, for sure. The aspect that I tend to favor the most with my work, and I do that openly, and I do it because it is something that I thoroughly enjoy and I feel that I connect with. It certainly has to do with form and with value. So I would 100% be, I would have never been an impressionist. I would have always been like a tonalist painter. That I know about myself, and I'm completely okay with that. So spot on, because I think that the way I understand color is always through the veil of value, let's say, through the veil of tone. It's almost like as if I put it through a colador, through a stringer.
Yep.
Is it stringer?
Yeah.
Yeah, through the stringer of value. So strainer.
Okay.
Strainer.
Sí,
Sí. Stringer, no sé. Stringer es lo que uno dice cuando trata de decir strainer.
No sabe.
Pero gracias por confirmarme
Sí,
así
sí,
con una
claro.
certeza.
Pero pues me preguntas a
Yo
mí.
sé, contigo hasta el infierno. Sí. Stringer,
Sí,
sí.
sí, claro
Sí,
que
Coquito, sí. 100%. Ni lo googlees, no lo busques. Es.
Nicolás puede mostrar con lo que le saca punta a los colores.
Sí.
¿Usted guarda el pigmento?
¿Guardo el pigmento? No. Como para usarlo como después con el dedo o con algo, no. Con un pincelito o algo, no. Estoy usando este, que es un... ¿Cómo se llama? Cum. Ah, sí, es esta cajita. Es bueno, pero yo le compré uno a Dani, o sea,
Ese es el
compramos
mío.
uno para Dani y uno para mí. Y
El de Nicolás está roto.
el mío está, sí, el mío ya lo rompí, se me perdieron las...
No tiene las cuchillas de repuesto porque cuando estaba vaciando el lápiz
las boté.
pegó muy duro a la caneca y se fueron. Pero sí, pero a mí me pareció muy bueno.
Sí, el de Dani como que funciona mejor que el mío.
Porque lo he cuidado más.
Sí,
Lo tengo en la cajita.
de pronto también.
Eh,
Todo en mis manos dura como menos tiempo.
Do you triangulate between points in your head or paper to place shapes and proportions, or just go with instinct?
Instinct. Yeah, a little bit. I think that I do that. I think that I'm always, I don't know if I've done that here, but sometimes when I do this with my pencil, I'm just always trying to find angles and distances, based on little anchor points that I have on my drawing. But because I tend to naturally distort things and I tend to push things, many times those measurements just go out the window. So I always have to be very conscious of how the decisions that I make in my drawing or painting are affecting those proportions. So yes, but I do it. It's kind of common practice for me.
Someone said, I've been following this channel for a while and had no idea this was Nicolás Uribe, who I also follow on Instagram separately. Anybody else had no idea?
Well, that's not, no, but that's nice that you kind
Yeah.
of connected the two of them. That's awesome. That's really awesome. But it's really cool that you thought that there were two Nicolás Uribes that were super passionate about painting.
I think it's maybe because the channel is called Our Painted Lives.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't say Nicolás Uribe.
Okay.
So maybe they see that you're in the interest, but they know your work and not your face.
Yeah, it's better that
Yeah,
way, by the way.
connect.
Yeah, it's a lot better that way. You're not missing anything with my ugly mug, so.
I know you like bismuth yellow. How does it compare to cat lemon?
It has a better body, I feel. So it's a little more opaque, has better body, a little more saturated. There are some lemon yellows that are a little bit lighter also. So this one, let's say that it would be a very nice kind of step between lemon yellow and approaching like more of the yellow orange. Not quite cat yellow, but just approaching it. So yeah, I really like it. But I think that what I like the most is the body. I really like my paint to have body. So I'm really not great with transparent colors. Although I do like alizarin, and that's like a fairly transparent color. So
Camila dice, acá es muy admirado Cuitca.
qué
Sí,
chévere, qué bueno.
sí, aunque creo que afuera del país no se lo reconoce más. Y no me acuerdo bien, pero creo que vivió unos años en Nueva York.
No estoy tan seguro. O sea, no sé acerca de eso, pero sí, es un monstruo, es un genio.
I've been following this project and listened to any podcast talk available that you have been on. You have a wonderful way to put language immediately to your experiences, both past and present.
Thank you.
Yet, oh,
Yet, uy, llegamos
yet-
al yet
no,
y
no,
yo
no,
diciendo
but
gracias
that's-
antes.
It's good too.
Oh, okay.
Yet, before all of that, you used to write. I read your blog before podcast interviews became the mode of delivery. I found immense value from your thoughts in the written forms.
Oh, thank you.
Do you find that writing has a different mechanism for expressing your thoughts? Do you still write?
I mean, for example, when I was a teacher at the university, I had the opportunity to write a couple of articles for an art magazine that we had in the faculty, and that was really cool. That was super enjoyable. I don't know how easy it is to find those. Maybe through JSTOR. I don't know if they're in JSTOR. I don't know if they're available. It would be worth just having a look to see if they are, but I'm not entirely positive. But yeah, I think it's a great way to reflect upon what you have done. You know, in our case, what has gone on during the week. It's a really nice way to slow down and to try to put into words, to try to verbalize, which is almost like trying to explain to yourself what has happened. And it's certainly been beneficial. I think that, you know, we sort of hinted at this during last week, but we are thinking of kind of saying, you know, a nice goodbye to what was the regular kind of our painted lives
Format?
format with a publication that we would be, you know, presenting, a project that we would present to you guys maybe, you know, November, beginning of December, and it would take a while. It would take a couple of months to have it print and to be shipped, because those are variables that, you know, printing nowadays, it's very strange. Shipping is a variable that we can't control. And I'm not speaking solely about the shipping when we ship the books out, but, you know, if we are going to print out of country, you know, if we're going to print in China, for example, that's going to be something difficult. Those are going to be variables that we can't really control. So it would take time. But I think part of that book, or the sentiment behind that book, would also be trying to put into words what we were looking for, not week after week after week, but, you know, in terms of like bigger themes and the small discoveries that we had along the way. I think we would try to put, you know, to make that be a kind of important part of that book. So it's not just you know, it's not just an anthology of all these paintings or a compendium of that collects like a bunch of paintings of the project. It would, you know, if we do it, it would have to also be a standalone book, like a book that I feel has to provide some sense of I don't know. I don't want to say conclusion, but it has to in a way kind of wrap things up, try to wrap things up. As, you know, again, these are not final thoughts, but at least it's like, hey, these past 2 years, which were born from like, you know, maybe 3 years before them, from the work that we were doing. This was our intent, and maybe this is how our intent changed, and these are the things that we learned, and this is how this kind of process evolved. And not talking specifically about a project, but how having a specific goal in mind can actually affect the work that you start doing. So I think that it would be nice that the book could have that character. Obviously, it would be a book just flooded with images, because I think both Danny and myself, we love to read, and we love books that kind of give us a bigger kind of context for artists. But we're also like visual people, and we adore books that have kind of cool images. So for me, an art book has to be a really nice succession. Danny has, for example, like this really beautiful eye in understanding like the rhythm of images. So they would have to be like a really nice collection of works that ultimately also tell like a story. So that would be our intent if we are going to do this. Again, publications are such a tough world, and it's such a tough thing to do, that we've thought about it for the longest time. Initially I was like, oh, and should we do like rewards or something like that? But maybe just putting out just this regular book that's just because nowadays when you look at kickstarted publication projects, there's always like, hey, and if you pay, and I've done this before too, but there's this edition, and this edition comes with drawings, and it costs more, or it comes with a painting. And I'll be super honest with you guys, but for example, I'm very hesitant about doing those, because I just don't know how to price those. Like before our project, we did the other book. We had price points that were a lot higher for, let's say, a drawing edition, an edition that would come with a drawing. And in our last book, we did some of these drawings, for example, that were color pencil drawings, and they were very nice. And ¿tú te acuerdas cuántos fueron esos? Yo no me acuerdo ya.
Si quieres ya lo busco.
¿50 de pronto?
Ya te digo.
I think Danny's going to look it up, but I think we did like 50 of the, like that edition was like 50 drawings.
El del segundo libro, ¿verdad?
Sí. De pronto si pones Indiegogo, eso. Super. So it was like 50 drawings, and they were...
Fueron...
Yeah, Danny's like double checking that right now.
So the drawings were 300, the price point.
Okay, so that edition was 300.
Paintings were 800.
Right.
And there were 20 paintings and 50 drawings, yeah.
Yeah, and we did that whole edition. Like we were able to, in many ways, subsidize the printing of the book by the people that were willing to support that project by buying some of like a drawing edition or a painted edition. But this is the part that has not scared me the most, but that certainly has brought up its own issues, in the sense that I don't know how to feel about, for example, asking again for like an $800 dollar painting that at the time made sense. At the time we hadn't really began this project, and usually that was cheaper for the usual prices that I would have on my paintings that would be on a gallery or something. So that kind of made sense. But now that we did this project, and that it has become so kind of almost like a lot of people already associate us with our price point. A lot of people already say, oh, your work is $250, and I'm totally fine with that. Like that was part of this exercise and part of this whole commitment to making anything accessible. But when trying to almost like subsidize a book that you need, if you're going to have less people supporting that project, because there are not a lot of people that, we never print out, we've never printed like, or we've never shipped more than 700 books, which is quite a lot, I have to say. It's still quite a lot, but a lot of publications are like 2,000 books, for example. A lot of editions are around 2,000 books. And, usually you bet in the sense that you want 2,000 people to get your book, and that would lower the price. But because it is a crowd-funded project, you don't really know how many people are going to support your project. You don't. You're just, blindly kind of estimating how many people could be interested in that project. And that's why you to help yourself, you have to give yourself a better chance at reaching that goal. And you do editions where they're a little more expensive, and those give you like a better chance at reaching your goal. And that's how usually those things work, because we're not doing like comic books. For example, if you go to the comic book tab in Kickstarter, oh my God, there's so I don't really know currently if there's like a big project that is being financed. But I remember, I don't know if Danny remembers, but when we were doing our book last time, it was crazy. Some of those comic books were like $250,000, $350,000, like, and it was like a single book, or it was like a couple of issues for like a story. But the thing is, there's so many people that are already invested in those stories. And comic books are usually such a broad medium. I mean, the reach that they have is just so enormous that I don't know if just a regular book with drawings or paintings can compete with that. So we try to finance that. We try to help ourselves finance that by those painted or drawing editions. But now it wouldn't really make quite a lot of sense, because our price points have been lowered for the past couple of years. So I don't know how people would react if we did the same thing. For example, like if we did a drawing edition that was $300, and if we did a painting edition that was $250, that was eight whatever. 800. Yeah, I don't know how people would react. So.
But I also think that we were very clear when we said that this project, like the price point was for this 2-year project.
I know, but I mean, it's changed me, so I know. And Danny and I have talked about this, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think that the effect on me and on what it means to provide accessible artwork for people that don't usually collect art, or just give people the possibility. I'm not saying like, oh, you're so generous, like you're doing great painting at an No. It has nothing to do with that. But it's just that those possibilities were never, contemplated. Sometimes if you look at a lot of the art world, those are the price points usually for prints, for example, or for just very, people would say, oh, this is just a very loose sketch, or this is just a study. But it was always like a description of a work that would lead you to think that it was less, that it wasn't really like the bigger work of art. It was always something smaller, something lesser. And I always thought, why does it have to be lesser? Why does it have to conform to, like, this idea that a painting, I'm so tempted to do this, to put some blue in here, I'm sorry. But I was I always questioned why it had to be understood that way, and why it couldn't be questioned. And yeah, so I think we started with that questioning, and I have to say that I'm damaged. I've been damaged by that questioning. It's just I don't know. It's just made me understand things differently than I did before. So I don't know how okay I would feel. I don't know if people would react well to that either. So yeah. And if you guys are thinking, well, just offer like a 250, which would make total sense. Yeah, but that's a lower, like we've thought about this. I've done the math on this too. Because it is a lower price point, then you have to take that into account. And if by the end you needed X amount of money, you realize you're going to be super far from what you intend, because 250, going from 250 to 250, if you add those up, it's never going to take you as quickly to your goal as if you were adding 800, in paintings that would cost 800. I'm being super open about pricing. I hope that doesn't make anyone uncomfortable. I really am very, very open about those things. I don't think we discuss those things nearly enough in an open way. Artists usually do. I'm very, for example, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm super critical, and I'm fine. I'm okay with this, but I'm critical when people say, "Oh, DM me about a price." Like, I'll talk about an artist that again, I'm not going to say their name. It doesn't really matter. But I remember I told Danny, "Oh wow, look, their work is so cool. Like, I think we should get something of them." And I contacted them, and I was like, "Oh, do you have these available?" And they were super, generous, and they sent like all the work that was available. And I was like, "Oh, this is so cool. Like, how much is this particular piece?" And they were like, "Well, how much would you offer?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "What do you mean? How much would I offer? Like, that doesn't make sense. What does that mean?" And it's like, "Well, yeah, I just want to hear your offer first." And I was like, "No, I don't know." And the cynical part of me says, I'm going to just say $1 then. If you can't ask me how much would I offer, because I have no sense of how you understand your work. I'm super respectful with people and the way they see their work and they understand their work. I don't think we've ever, in over the 120 pieces that we have never bargained for a price.
No.
Never,
And
ever,
if it's
ever.
too high, we just don't get it, and
yeah,
that's
exactly.
fine.
If it's too high, we just say, "Oh, that's beyond our price point, and I'm sorry, but thank you so much, and that's a little too much." We're just super open about it, because I think that's the way we would always want people to behave with us. But I've never had this sense of like, I never feel okay when people don't tell me what their price is. Just tell me. If it's $1 million, just say $1 million. If it's $50,000, say 50,000. Why would you be ashamed? Like, why would that scare you? Like, if you're going to commercialize your work, just tell the price and tell it to everyone. But whenever you don't tell your price, and you're always like, "Oh, DM me," like it's private. Like, why is it a bad thing? It's almost like, no, we can't speak about work. We can't speak about pricing publicly. That always gives me like, I don't know. It's always like kind of, again, Danny, it's always sketchy. That's a good way to use sketchy, because I would always.
Why can't you get over that?
I can't. I'm not going to drop it. Because if you don't, in my mind, it's like, if you don't say it publicly, I'm always going to think, are they overpricing me? Whenever I ask for the price, are they going to give me like a higher price? Or have they been giving other people a higher price, and maybe because I know them, they're going to give me a lower one, and they don't want other people to know about this discount? I don't know. I really don't. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think that pricing should be transparent, should be absolutely transparent. And if you're not comfortable with it, you should ask yourself, why are you not comfortable with the pricing of your work? Like, is it too low and you're afraid that it would make you feel like you're cheap? That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, I don't know. I went off in a rant there, but
Yeah.
thank you, Danny.
40-minute rant. But
Yeah, sorry.
No,
Sorry.
it's okay.
So we don't know about the book. We don't really know what to do about the book. It's a little complicated, I guess.
They're saying, I told my friend about the sketchy story, and she agreed with Danny. Haha.
That I'm sketchy?
No, I think that I use the right word.
Oh, right. Yeah. No.
No. Camilo Monroy dice, Nico, ¿es posible que haga un directo haciendo una pintura de gran formato?
Vamos a tratar de hacer eso para el próximo año, Camilo. Y le mando un abrazo, muy chévere saludarlo. Sí, el próximo año yo creo que no es que vayamos a hacer todos los días de la pintura grande todo el tiempo, pero yo creo que lo podemos mezclar con semanas que hacemos ejercicio y luego volvemos a la pintura grande y puede ser como súper chévere. Como que sea una constante. Y se me da muy, muy bonito tener como esa pintura, lo que sea, o sea lo que sea, como un hilito conductor para el proyecto del próximo año. Se me vería súper bonito que se vea el proceso como desde bocetos o concepción de referentes y diseño, todas esas cosas como chéveres.
Leah says, my issue with putting prices on Insta post posts, sorry, posts, is that they stay there and it could mislead someone if your price changes and you forget to update it.
Okay, no, I get it. By the way, Liad, thank you so much for all your suggestions that you sent us. Like, you're super, super
Yeah,
generous with your
thank you.
time and your suggestions. So.
Yesterday we were trying to watch some Twitch artists,
Oh, yeah, right.
but if we're being honest, we couldn't because
Well,
we were trying to watch it on TV, and I don't know if you can't, but we could just see the users, or maybe we don't know how to
no,
use
we
Twitch.
we were
so
seeing we were seeing like the live videos. Like if you go to the, whomever is like streaming at that moment, which is totally fine. But a lot of it was just a ton of people doing like big boobed anime girls, which I'm not judging. Like, if that's your thing, that's totally fine. But it's not something that I wouldn't spend like a long time just watching a lot of that. Again, totally fine. We went to the art category because that's where we were thinking that people would hang out. But Danny, who I saw that is Twitch streaming now, but he's doing like heavy poly paint. Steve
Who?
Kim. He's super good. I don't know if you know Steve. If you know who
No.
Steve Kim is.
Wait, maybe.
Oh,
if I-
he's an awesome artist, and he's doing like these super abstract, kind of really really cool, uh, loose like heavy poly.
Oh yeah. I
He's
follow him.
excellent. I mean, now that I'm doing color pencil, like he's in my mind all the time if I do like color pencil stuff.
Yeah.
Not that he does necessarily color pencil stuff. I think he initially he would do some color drawing in some way. Like he would use like I don't really know which tools to do some of his color drawings. Then he started doing or retouching them digitally maybe. So maybe they were like traditional drawings at some point, and then he would take them to Photoshop or whatever software he was using. But he's tremendous. He's really really tremendous. I really like his work. There's a couple of prints of his that I would love to have. I don't even know if they would be available now. So
Yeah, but we were also seeing that you can like double stream because you guys suggested that.
right.
So I was trying to convince Nicolas
Yeah,
of
maybe.
double
Yeah,
streaming.
maybe we'll see. We'll see in the future if we can do that. It
Yeah.
just feels like double dipping. So for now, it just feels like trying to force, something that doesn't exist for us in Twitch.
No, but I think it's giving yourself like a second, like two opportunities at one.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. You're totally like it wouldn't really you wouldn't really be risking anything or
Yeah.
yeah.
If you have work in galleries, do you feel obligated to sell work at their ticket prices when approached directly by a potential buyer?
No, not me. I've never done that. And I'm always like super respectful of galleries, but I feel that if a gallery for example, if a gallery didn't really wasn't able to sell a painting of mine and they were returned or or I'm it's past a time. I always feel like this is something that you can if it's not under contract, it's something that you can just sense. Like for me, a year is a long enough time. It's long, it's after a year you are free to just say, hey, can I get my paintings back? and then you can try to sell them for, you know, whatever you feel you can try to sell them. Because if the gallery wasn't able to sell them, then now it's like your job to try and sell them, and you are free to do whatever you want with your work. Now it's true that if you are, you know, if you are not organized about how you sell that work, that may be detrimental for your own market. So for the kind of stability of your own market, you don't really want to have like huge discrepancies between price points. So you don't really want people to say, oh, I bought this a year ago and I paid whatever, $2,000, and have maybe, you know, the people that have, you know, bought that $2,000 painting, meeting up with the people that bought the painting directly from you and say, really? Because I bought it from them at $800. So that's really weird, because that's going to make the person believe, the person that made that initial investment, say, oh, wow, is he just like giving paintings away now? Or, you know, is he not selling anything? So now he's had to bring his price points down, and that doesn't look good if people, you know, saw you as an investment. So you have to be, again, you have to be mature about it, and you have to be organized about it. You have to treat it as if it was a business, because it is. I mean, your market is your, you know, is your business if you're trying to sell your own work. But having said that, you know, I ruined my market. So a lot of people say, well, yeah, well, people will understand it just as an exercise or as something that was finite. So there's no real trouble in that. But I would argue that it's not as easy as saying that. Like, a lot of people are nervous about what I did, especially people that had already bought like a lot of my paintings at higher price points. So it's complicated. It's very complicated, and if I have to be honest, it's something that I knew that was going to happen, and I knew that at some point I was going to have to deal with, but I just didn't know at that moment. I just didn't really know how to deal with it, and I was like, okay, I'll think about this as it happens, because I don't really know how this is going to affect me. And I'm not sure. Again, I am not at all sure of how things are going to evolve. So we'll see. We'll feel it out as those things kind of happen.
Camilo Monroy dice, eso se puede empalmar muy fácil, Nico. Con OBS puedes vincular las dos cuentas. Sí, tenemos que mirar.
Sí. No, y nosotros lo usamos. Ahorita estamos
Ahorita
usando
sí
OBS.
estamos usando.
Y entonces, si es sencillo, pues chévere. Y lo hacemos ahí.
Sí. And Leah says, if you want to see the videos, you need to go directly to the person's channel, and they have to have them enabled. Yeah, we tried, but I think they didn't have them enabled.
Yeah, a lot of people, they probably didn't have it enabled. They didn't have them enabled.
And he also says, the only problem with double stream is that it's not good for the audience interaction. Maybe split the days to do Twitch days and YouTube days. You can put the Twitch video on YouTube after, so no one loses out. Yeah, but I think there's when it gets a little bit complicated.
Right. I would much rather just have one audience, and know that the audience also recognizes that they could meet up in one place, and that kind of have that sense of continuity. And because we were speaking with Danny, like one of the things that, for example, us as consumers, I think we enjoy in terms of podcasts we like or channels we enjoy in YouTube, is when they are consistent. Like when you know, for me, for example, like football podcasts or like video game podcasts, or stuff that is like my, you know, kind of like my chicken soup of podcasts, those homely podcasts that I just put and kind of shut off my brain. Like they become super part of my life. Like I have to be honest and say that a lot of those podcasts and a lot of the people that work in those companies throughout the years became like friends to me, even though I've never met them. But for example, in commuting from university, Danny, like to me, that was my time where I would just, I would get into the bus and I would have about an hour. It was
Yeah.
like an hour and a half for me. I think it was the same for you,
Yeah.
kind of. Maybe a little bit longer for
No,
Danny.
no, it was
¿No?
less because I used Transmilenio.
No, pero yo también en Transmi.
Pero
O sea, del momento en el que salgo de la casa, from
pensé
the
que
moment
cuando
where
usabas bus,
we
bus.
step out of the
Oh, yeah,
university
yeah. So,
or
yeah.
yeah. No, con bus era más,
Por
más
eso yo
tiempo.
decía
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, if it was just a
Estás
bus.
siendo muy generoso.
But public transportation, like for me, it was like the moment where I would just listen to my podcasts, and they were my company. Like they would literally keep me company at a moment where I felt I needed company. So I remembered like saying, "Oh, this is Tuesday, and I have, for example, painting, and also Tuesdays I have." It was the day that they would put out this particular podcast.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I was like, okay, that's going to be my bus ride. Like, listening to these guys is going to be awesome. That's like, I'm already like thinking of that's my afternoon, and it's going to be super cool. So for us, it's so important that there is kind of continuity, like this sense of like you can meet this sense of expectation, like that people like ourselves that are invested in what we like, we know that those people that we enjoy listening to, they are going to be there, and that's a lot of work for those people. I mean, it's the same work that we push with what we do, but and we know that is hard work, but that is for us. I think that's like key. Like that's so important that if we are going to do like lives, that hopefully the people that start to become part of kind of like our family, they understand that we are going to be consistent. Like we're always, you can count on us to always be there and to provide kind of interesting company. I hope. So yeah. So we're trying to not compromise that feeling of consistency or company or just people knowing that we're going to be there for the sake of going to a platform just because, I'm not saying that it's just because Twitch is like super relevant when you're trying to stream something, but I think that we have to weigh our options and we have to realize what is more important for us, and for us meaning where can we be most faithful and most supportive of what we do to the people that are going to be accompanying us, in this project. So, yeah, we have to kind of measure all those things and weigh all those variables, I feel.
How did your approach to painting change when you started making money from it? From maybe saying being a student and just painting to get better and express?
Oh, wow. I don't think it changed. I think it was very obvious, I had a very, and I was very lucky. I'll preface this by saying I was very, very lucky, but I had a very successful first show, and it was really cool, but I never took it for granted, never ever took it for granted, because if you think about it, like I had worked for that show for almost, I had worked for that show, on that show for almost 2 years, and
No, but use mine. Sorry.
no, but let's give mine a shot. Let's see. I mean, I like yours, but I still
No.
have to use mine. I can't ask for yours like all the time.
Okay.
So I'll keep talking while I'm sharpening. So I had invested like 2 years of my life betting on this show that I had no idea how it was going to go. Like that is probably the most painful thing about painting or about art or having shows, is that you never know. Like nothing is guaranteed. I know that nothing is guaranteed in life, but nothing will guarantee if you're going to do well or not on a show. Nothing. There are absolutely no guarantees. So the fact that you do well, I always thought that it was luck. I always thought that I was very, very lucky, and that people had decided to support me, and that I just had to be aware that this was something that could change from show to show, because I also had friends that had really great shows at some point, some years, and then they would have a following show and they wouldn't do so well, and they would have a following show where they were hoping that things would straighten out, and they would do horribly. It was such a weird. It's such a weird thing that you start to believe that there is no sense in trying to waste time in attempting to understand why you're going to do well or not on a show. You just have to close your eyes, work your hardest, and believe that hopefully people are just going to answer to what you do. But because I was, I guess, so conscious about that feeling of things being just a roll of the dice, I always felt like I'm gonna be grateful with what I have and with what I earn, and I'm gonna use a lot of these earnings to try to help myself paint more. So I always told myself this would be something that I would repeat myself constantly. I was like, I just want to do well enough to have the opportunity to keep painting. Like, I would tell that to myself constantly. Like, I would always say, I don't want to sell a show out. I just want to have enough so that I can keep painting. That would always be my goal, just enough so that I could keep painting. I would just repeat that to myself constantly. And life was very kind to me, and I was very, very lucky that I did, very well. I can't say that I sold out every single one of my shows, but I think I was close to selling out almost every single one of my shows. And what I would do usually is I would just travel, really. After that, I would try to find ways in which I could enrich my life, and I think that there's no better way to enrich your life than by traveling. So I think that those investments on me and on those experiences were just a very natural way to understand that I had worked hard, and that now it was a time to, yes, enjoy that, but also take me to places where I would just be in contact with art that I had never seen, or art that I always wanted to check out in person. It became like super, super exciting. So I don't know. Again, it's always about having some sense of perspective. You could make $100,000 in a show and then just buy a car if you want, or buy something and that's totally fine. Like, I'm never going to judge anyone for doing whatever they want with their hard-earned money, but yeah, I don't know. For me, it was always like creating like a small safety net so that I could just keep working, because I always told myself, well, that's the money that I'm going to have for the next 2 years if I'm going to do another show. So it has to be enough. Like, I have to be able to go on a trip, but it also has to be enough money that can cover my butt for like the next 2 years. And that's why the life of an artist that is showing work at a commercial space is so stressful. It's so weird, because you are just a show away from completely throwing off like what your life looks like, what your life feels like. If you do well, like you can continue working on that loop, that is awesome. But if you don't do well, and the reasons for not doing well can be so varied, like it can have nothing to do with your own work. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And if you don't do well, you're done. Like, you have to start thinking of getting a job, or suddenly you find yourself like, oh my God, I have to pay rent. And I can't make rent, and what is this ridiculous thing? And you have to accept any sort of job, and it just feels unfair. It just feels terribly, terribly like unjust. But that's the career we chose. It can be heartless, I feel. It can be very, very tough. So, yeah.
Leah
Oof.
is saying, I know a bunch of successful artists that had a show planned the week of the lockdown, and it killed their income.
Right.
Yeah.
I've also had friends tell me stories about how their 2020 was completely set up, and they were reliant on doing well on that show. And us artists, we are kind of dumb in that way where we count on money that we don't have. You know, I know that this is not just me. I think that this is a lot of us, but you know, many times we are, if we do well, we start to grow accustomed to thinking that, for example, doing a drawing is automatically like, you know, going to the ATM and just taking out cash. Like, oh, we finished a drawing. Oh, right, it's gonna sell immediately. Like, for example, I'm working on this, and it's like, oh yeah, that's $250. Like, that's money on the bank. And that's not true. Like, you have to teach yourself, and you have to repeat yourself so much that none of these things are sure, none of them. And again, for people that had, you know, that were part of that sort of like scheduling of galleries, and that their life revolved around their shows, and that they were, you know, lucky enough that their shows had provided them with some sense of consistency or security. And you know, many times these artists have like families. There's a lot of other people depending on those shows. Oh my God, 2020 was something, you know, shocking. It was something that completely offset that balance. And it's I think I'm kind of critical of galleries because I don't think that they were they had no answer to any of that. So they had a lot of people that were dependent on them, and they just didn't have an answer. And I know I'm being very I'm putting a lot of the weight on them to have an answer, but they should have. They should have. I know a lot of galleries that could have done a better job, because that was a reminder that a gallery can't just be the place where you sell work. You know, it's not just a place where the artist says, oh, I'm part of this gallery and I just sell here and that's it. Like, that's where the responsibility finishes. No, a gallery is like your home. You know, a director is a person that essentially is your employer, and it's, you know, that person is taking care of you. And a lot of galleries, big galleries, medium-sized galleries, small galleries, they weren't up for the task of taking care of their artists. They really weren't. I'm sure that there's galleries that were, and they are exceptional people, and those are exceptional galleries. But as a whole, it suffered. You know, people suffered tremendously. So, yeah, this is a very tough business. Very, you know, as a business, it's very tough, and it's very unjust. You know, it's not at all balanced, and it's not balanced in our favor for sure. So.
Did you set up the first show by yourself?
Yeah. I've told this story, but I literally had 3 paintings. I'm going to tell it again. I never changed my story. I had 3 paintings that I had done, and I knew nobody here in Bogota, like nobody that could present me to a gallery. So it was just me lugging my 3 rolled up paintings around, and I had no idea the dynamics of how you know, artists were judged to be part of a roster in a gallery. I didn't care about any of those things or finding out about any of those things. So I would just show up, no appointment, no nothing. I would ask for the curator or the director, and the people that were working at the gallery would always look at me like I was insane, like I was absolutely insane. And they would be like very nice but kind of dismissive and say, haha, you know, it doesn't work that way. Like, sweetie, it doesn't, you know, this is not how we do things. And I remember even like at a big gallery, I asked for them, and even before they showed up, I was already like unrolling my paintings on the floor. And they were like, what are you doing? Like, you know, this is not the way that you're supposed to do things. But I had nothing to lose. Nothing. I didn't know anyone. You know, with many things, I'm like super shy in my life, and with many things I'm like shameless. I'm absolutely shameless. When I have to do stuff, like I convince myself that I have to do it, and I'm completely shameless. And I figured that at those moments I was like, what do I have to lose? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, for them to tell me, hey, get out of our gallery, like, you know, don't ever show yourself again here, like, we don't like your work. But that, who cares? Like, who cares about that? Like, how would that affect me? How would it, you know, a gallery that I don't know would approve of my work, if they were dismissive of my work right then and there, how would that affect me? It wouldn't. It, you know, if they didn't like my work, only meant that they weren't never going to be part of my life. So better knowing that at that moment than never knowing that. So I always convince myself, okay, let's just embarrass yourself for like a little bit, and it'll be okay. And what eventually happened was that I hit a gallery that was smaller, and I said I have 3 paintings, because I would always say the same thing. I was like, I have 3 paintings. I know they're not enough, but if you give me an opportunity, like I can make a lot more of these. If you give me, you know, if you open up a spot in your schedule and we could have a show. And I was like, I know that we could do really well. I know that we could sell these. Just give me a chance, and I'll I'll prove to you that I can do this. And this one gallery was like, they were super, super nice to me. And, you know, the gallery director, she was there, and the curator was there, and she called. I remember showing my 3 paintings, and she called the curator, and they both looked at them, and they were like, oh, this is really nice. And they were like, sure, you know, we'll give you a show. And they were like, what date do you want? And I think I picked October, like the month of October. I think they were like super nice in telling me, you know, this is a good month for sales, so let's do it this month. And it was kind of like a year and a half in advance almost. And I had 3 paintings, and I ended up showing 47 paintings for that show. So I worked my ass off for like that year and a half. And the first night we had sold like 45 of those paintings, something like that, 43 or 45 of those paintings. So we did incredibly well, and I was very, very lucky. And I think my luck started there, and I have to say that I've been lucky ever since. So I've always felt that life has been very, very lucky, you know, very, kind to me, and I've been very lucky. But I've been willing to put the hard work in also. So it's luck, but it's also luck that has been accompanied by a lot of thinking and a lot of hard work. So,
Do you have any social salesmanship tactics for how to navigate meeting the right people at the show?
so if I'm understanding correctly, like if it was my show,
Yeah, it's like social slash
okay.
salesmanship.
I think
I don't know if
I mean
I said
Danny
that
has seen me. I think I'm pretty good at making sales. I think I am. But
Yeah.
I don't try too hard either. Like I just talk to people, and I'm super open when I talk to people. So if they are interested in my work, I'm just also willing to listen why they're interested in my work, and then I can feed off of what they're saying. Because a lot of times buyers just want confirmation from you that what they're feeling is something that you intended to, to do in your own work. And I'm not saying that you have to like BS your way through that, but it's really nice to kind of see that people can discover different aspects of your work that you maybe weren't conscious of. And it's super interesting when they tell you, I saw this and it reminded me of this. And maybe it's something that you weren't really expecting, but you could be super dismissive at that moment and just say, no, my work is not about those things. You're totally off. Or you could just be like, wow, that's super interesting. Like, I didn't see it that way, but I can totally see it now that you're describing it. And I think it's awesome that, that sort of input that you're giving the work. It's really nice. It just gives it like a totally different life. That's super cool. So you can make the people that are interested in your work, like you can speak genuinely and say, wow, that's really nice that you see it under that light and under those experiences. Because what do you expect? Like people are never going to know why you did something. They're never really going to know what your intent was. So they can speculate and they can just play the game, which is really nice. Like try to play and see if they understand what you were going for. Or maybe they just say, hey, I think that you were going for this, but I much rather see this in your work. And that's like super interesting also. So yeah, I think I'm naturally open to talking to people about those things and to listening to those people. I'm not just trying to impose myself on that conversation, but I'm willing to listen to what those people want to say about what they see in my work. I think that's super important because it makes them an active part of the conversation instead of you just saying, hey, I'm trying to sell this. If you like it, buy it. If you don't, thank you. Good, and that's it. Like, goodbye, thank you. I hope that worked. I don't know if I answered that quite properly, but
Are these Danny's post claw hands you spoke about before? Or is this an exception?
yeah, I think I got super excited with her hands in this drawing, and so I'm giving her like gargoyle hands.
No, wait,
but it's also, I don't know how they look. I don't really know if they're working in terms of proportion. I'm sure they're bigger. They're a little too big, but I like it. I mean, it's sort of sweet but beastly, I feel, and that's really nice. I feel that's part of the drawing.
But I don't know if I understood like in another way, but I thought they were talking about, I think yesterday or maybe the week before you were talking about how I never know how to pose my hands.
Oh, she
And
hit
they're
it
claw.
she hit it from the start with these. Like,
Yeah.
I think that these are super cool. They remind me of like there's not quite that pose, but like the sentiment of like some of Kathy Colvitt's drawings or like wood blocks that she would always do like her hands like super super large, and instead of being disproportioned or distorted, I always thought that they were incredibly powerful. So yeah, I think hopefully I'm going for some of that today, and hopefully that's something that's part of the drawing for today. But
Sé que ya lo mencionó antes en otro video, pero explicó la razón por la que prefiere los colores acuarelables a los clásicos de cera. Si no es molestia, puede volver a contar.
sí, no, es súper sencilla la razón, realmente no es nada complejo y quizás es como más caprichoso, pero siento que son un poquito más suaves. O sea, y no creo equivocarme, por lo menos con los de Faber-Castell, creo que son un poquitico más suaves que los colores de cera, digamos, tradicionales. Entonces, por eso los escojo. De pronto quiero, no sé, pienso que tienen sentido con la forma como modelo con el color. Entonces, de pronto busco un poquitico de eso con los trazos. Pero sí, no es nada más complejo que eso. No hay nada más allá de eso. O sea, porque digamos que no los estoy usando para lo que fueron diseñados, que fue para ser acuarelables, para ser solubles en agua. Realmente no les estoy sacando el provecho en ese aspecto. Entonces, uno podría argumentar que pues no tiene como mucho sentido lo que estoy haciendo, pero creo que el manejo del color es súper distinto al de los colores más tradicionales.
What are each of your favorite kind of tacos? I feel like I may have asked this before, but I don't remember. Tu taco favorito, your
Pero es
favorite
que
taco.
yo creo que en inglés, ¿no es cierto?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I consume enough tacos
Uy,
to...
but I love tacos.
¿Tú sí?
Uy, a mí me encantan.
Pero tienes como un favorito, o sea, dirías como tacos de carnitas.
Carnitas.
Ah, bueno. Pero yo no tengo, de pronto fish. I would go with fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I think we spoke about this maybe last week when we were saying that we went to a restaurant
Oh, okay.
that had fish tacos. Don't
yeah,
you
they were
remember?
very good. Although the best ones that I had were in San Francisco. They had like really good fish tacos. But yeah, I would go with fish.
Carne
yeah,
al
for sure.
pastor, yeah. A mí me gusta.
Sí,
Deli. Sí.
sí, pero yeah, fish are more like Tex-Mex. I'm guessing, or like, because I don't know how popular they are. Because I've had tacos in el DF in Ciudad de Mexico. And they're different. Like real traditional Mexican tacos are quite different from the ones that you get in the U.S. or in other places.
Or
So,
here.
Yeah, here I don't think. Or maybe there's a couple of like 2 restaurants here in
Yeah.
Bogota that are like they'd have like real Mexican food, but
I remember I ate a lot of tacos at the end of my bartending
yeah,
period of time. I don't know how to call that.
yeah.
But the
You like your
owners, what?
like the last, like the stretch, the
Yeah,
last
yeah, yeah.
stretch of your, yeah.
The owners of the bar
Mm-hmm.
had a taco restaurant, and they were so good. They had one that was sweet, that had cheese and arequipe. Oof,
Horrible,
best
mi amor,
one ever.
no.
No, yeah, best
No,
one.
fatal.
Yeah, they were tiny, so
Arequipe is milk. ¿Cómo se dice arequipe?
ya te digo.
Como milk, blah, blah, blah. No sé, no me acuerdo.
Me demoro mucho siempre. It says sweet of milk, sweet made of milk.
Yeah, that says nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you've tasted arequipe, you know what it tastes like.
It's the
If you
best
haven't,
thing ever.
I can't, like, I like it, but it's so sweet that it gives me diabetes if I have it. Like, I know that I'm not supposed to. Like, my body just, that's like way too sweet for me.
No, I love it. When I was a kid, I remember that my mom bought arequipe, like big, I don't
Like
know,
tubs, yeah.
tubs of arequipe, and we went with my sister with a spoon and ate it all. Ooh, amazing.
Yeah, the correct way to eat arequipe is with like a large spoon, and you just grab a
Yeah.
big ass spoonful of that, and you just lick that for for as long as it takes for you to eat it. Which in my father's case, who adored it, it would be like 2 seconds. Yeah, but I never, I like it, but I think it's just, I don't know. Like, I like sweets, but I feel that with arequipe, it's like those are my limits.
No, I love it. I miss it too.
No, pues ya estás
Yeah.
salivando encima. Yeah, Danny's salivating on top of my keyboard.
They're asking, is it sweet condensed milk?
No, that's leche condensada.
Sí, esa es leche condensada.
Yeah,
No.
it's a little bit different.
Camila says dulce de leche.
Sí,
Sí, en España, pero yo siento que el arequipe,
no, el arequipe es como
distinto.
distinto. Es
Un poquito
distinto.
distinto.
Sí, ahí ya estamos siendo recolombianos. Como,
Sí,
no,
sí, la arepa es
sí,
nuestra,
pero
sí, no de
no.
Venezuela, sí.
Sí,
Qué
es como
bobada.
sí, pero no, es más que eso. No, but it is different. I've never
Yeah.
tasted anything like that. Like Colombians that have moved to other places in the world, like they'll ask people that are traveling to bring them arequipe. Like that's one of the things that people like want to have, and they miss. So I don't know.
They're asking if it's blanc manger. I don't know if I'm pronouncing good, but no.
Manjar blanco.
No, because
No, but manjar blanco is.
no, because look, I looked it up.
Oh
and
no,
it's like
that's
a
like a flan.
gel,
That's like a flan.
like a jello
or
thing.
That's like a como un esponjado parece.
See, no, I'm gonna put.
Show them what
Yeah.
arequipe looks like, or
Yeah.
and maybe that's
So you all get hungry. A ver, arequipe.
And what's sad is that there's like this one company, because that's the product name. So it's not really, the actual thing. It's just the product name, and they have, complete monopoly over. There's a lot of brands though, but they have complete monopoly over that
No, these look amazing.
over arequipe.
No.
Pues sí, o sea.
No.
No, but people are gonna think it's caramel, and it's not caramel.
No, it's not caramel.
I don't know. Muéstrales una oblea.
Uy, oblea.
But we can't really explain an oblea also.
But it's like. ¿Cómo se dice oblea?
No, pero ¿cómo vamos a explicar una oblea con una hostia?
Me parece. Has anyone had an oblea?
It's like a wafer, like a round, very thin wafer.
With arequipe? Uf. A ver. Oblea con arequipe.
I know Danny, and she's genuinely hungry
Yeah,
right now.
no.
She's like terribly hungry.
Yeah.
It's like, let's finish this up. Let's finish, like, wrap it up.
But I don't find like a good picture. This one maybe?
Yeah.
No, this one?
Oh, it's okay. Any of them.
No,
Like
no,
you're
because
thinking, you're like thinking of Tinder. You know, as if Oblea had like a Tinder, and you're like, no, that doesn't represent me.
because I have to sell it as it is.
Yeah, like Tinder.
A ver. Or maybe, wait.
Oh my God, that's
Save
way too
image.
long. Way too long for a picture
Yeah,
of Oblea.
sorry. And now I have to go to OBS
To Photoshop, just to
try to
touch it up a little bit so you guys see the best version.
Yeah, they're saying Oblea acá es barquillo. Pero barquillo no es, pues Camila,
¿En forma
nosotros
de
acá
barquillo?
tenemos barquillo y es como una flauta larga. Y acá, no,
Como
Oblea
un-
es plana, o sea, como una flauta.
Como un tubito.
Sí. No sé si allá ustedes le digan barquillo, pero no creo, creo que es distinto. Y el barquillo es un poco más duro.
Pero el barquillo igual es hecho como de lo mismo, realmente.
Sí, pero la Oblea es increíble. They're saying dulce de leche, guys. Yeah, we were saying maybe it's called dulce de leche, but dulce de leche is from Argentina, and it is a little bit different than arequipe.
Let us have this,
Yeah.
please. I mean, Colombia is constantly
know.
robbed of things. Panama, for example. So let us have
Yeah, but
arequipe.
not
Let us
arequipe.
let us believe that arequipe just tastes like arequipe, like nothing else in this planet. So
Yeah, so these are obleas. Some people stuff them with like ¿cómo digo mermelada?
jam, like
Yeah, like jam, and it's not that good. Or cheese. I've seen people.
like cream cheese.
No. Queso en tiritas, ¿no has visto?
No, para obleas.
Claro.
No. Yo solo como oblea, pues cuando he comido obleas con arequipe y ya.
Ah, Camila dice, acá el barquillo es plano, el redondo es cubanito. Sí.
Sí, nos roban todo. Nunca es colombianito, nunca. Todo lo del
They're
pobre
saying,
es robar.
Me, a Colombia, reading the chat and understanding everything and craving it so badly because I live in the US. Yeah, I'm sorry, Mariana, that we're making this to you. El arequipe, Iván dice, el arequipe es más caramelizado y tiene un almidón para estabilizarlo.
Uy, pero
Muy
Iván
bien,
se fue.
Iván, sí, yo no.
Sí, Iván se puso el delantal.
They said, will you type the proper spelling of it in chat, Danny? But I don't know if they're talking about arequipe. But here
No,
I
pues
go.
ya te tocó comprometerte con arequipe,
Arequipe.
oblea.
Oblea.
Sí.
Em,
Estás abriendo
Sí.
una caja de Pandora. O sea, estás a 5 minutos de escribir pan de yuca, pan de bono, champús. O sea,
I was in Colombia right before COVID shut everything down. I loved all the food I had. Did you had ajiaco?
yeah.
Nicolas doesn't like ajiaco, but I
No.
love ajiaco.
Yeah, I'm like a weird Colombian. I don't drink coffee. I've had like 2 cups of coffee in my life,
Yeah.
3 cups of coffee at most, and I don't like for us that are here in Bogota. It's almost like a given that you like ajiaco. I don't like it that much. I mean,
I
I can
love
eat
it.
it. I can eat it, but I have a problem with the soup being like super opaque. It's very thick, so it's very opaque because it's made with like 3 different types of potatoes.
I'm gonna Google ajiaco
And
I'll show you.
but it's a little too opaque for me. I don't know if that makes me sound like I'm insane, maybe, but I just don't like dipping my spoon in something and not knowing like what's underneath it. So it feels like a swamp. I don't know, maybe I'm alone in this, but maybe if there's somebody like me out there, just let me know. But yeah, that's what happens with me. That's my That's my thing with that soup.
Oh, Rosalind is saying that she had ajiaco. Did you like it? You don't like coffee? I don't know if we can be friends, Nicolas.
No, I don't. You know what it is? It's not a matter of me not liking it. It's just that I feel that I don't need it. I have this natural. Ask Danny. I have like a natural energy.
Yeah.
There's like this natural energy to me. Like I'm always up. I'm always energized. And I just don't feel I need anything in the morning or at any point in the day. Like my just natural sense of just wanting to do things is the one that drives me throughout the day. So yeah, no coffee for me. Think about how much money I save on that.
So here is what an ajiaco looks like, and it's funny because Rosaline is saying it's different, but I ate it. So yeah, she's not a big fan of ajiaco, I think.
Yeah, no. And to be clear, again, I can eat it. Of course, I can eat it. I can eat anything. I'm that sort of person that can eat anything. You could put anything on my plate, and I can eat it. But I just don't. I'm not crazy about it. Most people here in Bogota absolutely adore it.
Yes.
But
me, for example.
Yeah, not so much me.
Mariana says, "Do you guys like chocolate con queso?" Yes. I love it.
Danny does.
I love it.
My mother, for her birthday 2 days ago, we had like chocolate,
Pan de
y queso,
bono,
pan de bono, pan de yuca.
Pan de yuca.
So onces santafereñas,
Sí.
very traditional, very traditional. We had that for her birthday. So I can't have chocolate. Again, I'm like, I'm buzzkill. I'm Mr. Buzzkill
Yeah.
here. I'm like, oh my God. But I am lactose intolerant. I can't have anything with milk because, just I would fart the hell out of, whatever situation I would be in. Yeah, but I can't have it. I just can't have milk.
Yeah, but chocolate con queso is the best combination. I love it. Iván says, jajaja, es un meme. Mala sopa turbia me da ansiedad.
Sí, no saber qué hay en el fondo me da como cosa. No sé qué es.
Camila says, Danny's answer for food is always yes. That's true.
Yeah,
I love food.
Danny is like, she's super petite, but if you saw her eating, I mean, she could out-eat anyone I know, I feel. Like, my mother already knows that she's going to have, like, seconds. Like, whatever we're eating at home and my mother's, there's always like, oh, Danny's going to eat another plate. Like, she's always going to eat another plate.
And if I don't, she gets a little bit sad.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah, she's like, you didn't like it? Because you always repeat, so.
Yeah, I know that is a meme, but the Latin American mother, especially in my mother's generation, my mother's like 70, I mean, she's not going to like me saying her age, but women in her generation, and her mother was the same way. If you don't eat something, it's the worst offense. Like, oh my God, what happened? What was wrong with the food today? So if you want to go straight to their heart, just eat their food. Just say yes to anything that they're offering to you. And we used to joke with my mother that anyone that went into her house, she was like the witch in Hansel and Gretel. Like, she would never be satisfied until you were like, if you were fatter leaving the house that afternoon, like, she would just, poke you with a stick to see if you had gained weight. That's the only moment she would feel like, okay, you can leave. Like, this is good.
Yeah, but that happens with me. She's like that with me too. She's
Yeah.
like, oh, do you want a little bit more of, I don't know,
Ay,
this
Dani.
chicken?
Ay, Dani,
yeah,
por
and a little bit more
favor.
of rice.
Dani, por favor, que ya
Yeah.
está hecho, Dani. ¿Cómo me vas a decir que no, Dani? ¿Cómo, Dani? Otro platico para Daniela.
Sí. Y a veces digo, no, igual, otro.
Yeah.
Oh, and always the second plate, I don't know why, but it's bigger.
Maybe larger.
Yeah, it's
larger.
bigger
Yeah.
than
Maybe
the
larger
first
than the
one.
first one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny was saying that she could say no, but one no for my mother, oh, so not enough. Like, my mother does not understand, like, that first no. That first no for her is like, try harder. It's like a challenge for my mother. She's like, okay, I'm going to put some effort now into trying to convince you.
They're saying, I don't like ice cream. It tastes like suffering to me. My teeth are very sensitive to cold. Nicolas doesn't eat ice cream.
No. Yeah, people made fun of me when I was doing the workshops in Rome because everyone goes to Rome and every single person's like, oh, gelato, gelato. And everyone goes there. And there are people in the Rome workshop that would have gelato, like different gelato, like every single day. And they would try different places. And it was like a thing. I'll have one, you know. If I have one for those, 2 weeks, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't do ice cream. It's not my thing.
Yeah, I know it's predictable, but I love ice cream.
Yeah.
I love ice cream too.
Anything.
Yeah.
Danny's like a trash
I love food. Yeah.
compactor. You could just throw anything.
Camilo Monroy dice, Dani tiene que comer bien, jajaja. Camilo, yo como más que bien. Como mucho. Sí, mucho y muy bien.
Danny is like, have you seen in those fairs, para la gente que habla en español, como las canecas que son de payaso? Que tienen la
era
boca
el chiste
abierta.
de mi papá
Sí.
con mi mamá.
¿Esa eres tú? Pues bueno.
Con
mira.
no, con cómo se reía mi mamá.
Ah,
Ahora
no.
los estoy echando al agua yo acá.
Pero sí, yo nunca había oído eso, pero bueno. Pero mira, pasó de generaciones.
Sí.
Tu mamá con la risa y tú con la comida.
Sí, mi papá decía que mi mamá... No, bueno, ya dije sí.
Sí, te mandaste. Te mandaste.
Que se reía como la caneca de Cafam.
No,
No sé si tú entiendes
sí,
eso.
terrible.
No, era chistoso porque
Pues
mi
es
mamá
chistoso,
se ríe con
pero-
ganas.
Sí, pero
Abre
yo
la
no-
boca.
Sí,
mucho.
yo no me voy a burlar de la risa de tu mamá. No aquí, al menos.
They're saying there are vegan chocolates for you if you don't like
I have to give him a shot.
milk. Oh,
Yeah.
but we have here always chocolate, like 80% chocolate it is with salt.
Yeah, those are good.
It's amazing. Yeah, we like it too.
So I'm close to an end. I think I've been not even drawing just for the sake of conversation. So yeah, I've been just postponing the end of this drawing just so that we can talk a little bit more about food. But in truth, I'm almost done, or I've been done for the last like 20 minutes. Just been futzing around like with the drawing.
Te preguntan, ¿le gusta el tamal, Nicolás?
Sí.
No, tú no.
Sí, no, sí me gusta, pero por ejemplo, cuando uno le sale el tocino, complicado.
A mí sí
Porque
me
es que a mí no
gusta.
es que me guste el gordo así. Dani nació con un chicharrón en la mano. Entonces
sí me gusta.
Dani todo lo que es de cerdo.
No, a mí el cerdo no me... Eso sí es verdad.
¿Cómo
A
vas
mí
a decir que te gusta el chicharrón?
No, el chicharrón me gusta, pero como lomo de cerdo...
No, pero no
Cualquier
puedes,
cosa,
Linda.
eso
No,
sí,
no puedes
no.
decir eso, pero no puedes decir que te gusta el...
Pero
o sea,
chicharrón, 100%.
amas el chicharrón, pero uy, el marrano no.
Sí, o sea, a mí todo
So-
eso que a ti no... O sea,
That tip broke off, which means that's life telling me that I should stop. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna be. I'm okay. Let me talk for like 2 seconds about the drawing because I think we've talked about everything except the drawing for today. But I just really wanted that little bit of accent there. Initially, I thought that let me get close to the mic. Initially, I thought that that was going to be too strange, like that was going to be too dissonant for the image, and that I had to try to incorporate it in some other moment of the drawing, maybe like in the underplane of the lower lip, as the lower lip turns into the chin. Those moments that are transition, where form transitions, and softer tissue into like a moment that is a little bit harder. I think those would have been great, or the underplane of the nose. I thought that maybe in the eyes I could have some tiny little accents of blue. But then if I started going down that rabbit hole, I probably would have used it for the nostrils also. And then I would have told myself, oh, if I'm putting it on the darks, like if I'm associating it with the darker values, like I'm going to put it in the darker moments of the shadow. I'm probably going to start laying it on the hair. And I think that if I started to just put it everywhere, to like sprinkle it everywhere in the drawing, it just wouldn't feel like significant. It just wouldn't feel special. Um, so I much rather just concentrate it on a single moment and just feel that, yeah, maybe that's good enough. Like that's more than enough. And that's going to be strange. And maybe the strangeness in there, the fact that I felt that it just, it almost seems like out of place is the one that made me or gave me courage to do hands that were a little bit bigger, because they are kind of beastly, these hands in the drawing, but I actually like it. She looks super fierce. Like she looks like somebody who's very aggressive in a good sense, by the way, very aggressive, but she's at rest. It's almost like you can intuitively think that there are two stages to this character that's in here, like that she could mess you up, but not at this moment. Like now she's at rest, like she's at peace. But if you don't feed her that second plate, like she's gonna pull out those claws and really make a mess. So I think that's the drawing for today. I know that I sound ridiculous when I say those things, but honestly, those are the things that I think about when I'm drawing. Like I just construct all these narratives, like all these dumb little details when I'm drawing, and I start believing them. And I think they actually inject a sense of life to the drawing, or a personality to the drawing that would be absent if I just thought about, I'm going to draw an eye and make it look like a nice eye. I'm going to draw a nose and give it form. And then I'm going to draw these kind of off-centered lips and hopefully make those work. Like if everything is about something that's just barely formal, like a formal attribute of that drawing, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. Like you can do those drawings. There's plenty of those drawings in art history. That's great. But I usually like to at least imagine that there's a world in which this drawing exists. There's this universe in which this drawing actually lives in, and that if this particular character lived in that universe, like what would their impetus for being be? Like what is their driving force? And I like to think of those things. I don't know. I think maybe it sounds ridiculous, but that's what I enjoy. So yeah. So let's leave it there. I think that's a good second drawing. Where it was it was a slow burn today. It was a very slow introduction also of this blue. I mean, the blue is not really pushing anything, or it's not really. It's so enclosed, I feel, by a particular form that it's not causing a ton of trouble, to be completely honest. Like that's very, very almost like caged, and there's no real threat to the drawing. So we didn't do anything too gutsy or too exaggerated that would put us in a lot of trouble. So I guess the reason I'm doing that is so that we can move slowly to something that's more expressive. Hopefully by the end of the week, I'm not guaranteeing that by the end of the week I'm going to be my most expressive, but maybe I can start drawing a little bit harder, because I really love to also draw really, really hard with my color pencils. I think the quality of that very committed line is really beautiful. Maybe we can try some of that for the drawings at the end of the week. But for now, I think that this is like a very slow, very obvious transition from yesterday's drawing. So I'm okay with it. I think it's a cool hand also. Again, oversized, but I don't know. It kind of it works well. Like she does feel like she's beautifully menacing. I feel like it's a nice way of doing like somebody who's just naturally powerful, I would say. So I think that's a cool thing. So we're going to leave it here for today. Do you have like closing questions on
No.
arequipe? Probably. It probably has to do with food. So
No, they were saying she's thinking about food in the drawing. And
with those hands, she can have like bucketfuls of like ajiaco or arequipe.
yeah, and Robin says she looks like she might deny she had the last donut. The one with the blue icing.
Or let me do something here. I'm going to do something dumb. but let me do something. Let me do something.
Yeah, but they're saying thanks for the great stream and conversation.
No, you guys are awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful drawing and chat. Thank you. Thanks, all good fun. They're perfect. I love it. Nicolas. But
There we go.
the color looks like weird. Look at
Oh,
the
it doesn't matter.
screen.
You're so hungry.
It looks like a pumpkin soup.
Yeah.
But I
you're
would like
you're
that
so
too.
hungry that you would eat it. I mean, this being
that's
would just
arequipe.
attack this, but I think that's a good, that's really nice. The object of her desire is right there. So now the work is complete. We did like a, Duchamp like great glass when it broke. No, we just introduced the arequipe, very conceptual, highly conceptual, and now the drawing is complete. So if you like this drawing, I'm going to send it with my cell phone, and you just have to keep it on with this image like all the time. So
Yeah.
good. And just respond when anyone WhatsApps, just act like if you're me. So comes with responsibility, I guess.
Lo alargaste un poquito.
Yeah, I know that joke was that joke didn't need to be that long.
Yeah.
So anyways, that was it
Thank
for
you,
today, guys.
everyone.
So thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Same hour, I feel.
Yeah. They were
Can we do that?
asking.
Yes.
Camilo.
Sí,
no,
Camilo.
Iwan, I'm sorry.
See you,
He
Juan.
was asking about the time. I
Yeah.
think he got lost because it's 2:30,
Oh, so we say
but
East.
Eastern time.
Yeah, we say
Colombia,
Eastern time.
no.
Yeah, because I've done this in the past where I give the actual Colombian time, which is GMT -5.
Yeah, and
But
people
many
don't
times
know
when I
that.
go like, hey, it's at 2:30 GMT -5, that's like algebra for people. Sometimes people go like, okay, I have no clue what that time means. I'm just going to catch the video tomorrow. So since a whole lot of people that listen to us and that like the stuff that we do are in the U.S., we just say Eastern time, just in the same way that we speak English to try to reach a lot of people around the world. This is not the fact. We're not just favoring like the U.S. or anything like that, but it's just it is what it is, and we have a ton of people that listen to us in the United States. So it's maybe a little bit easier. And I think that it's just super simple. Just if you're unsure, just Google current Eastern time, and you'll have a sense of how that compares to your local time.
Or you
So-
can use the countdown. In
Oh
your
right, yeah, I didn't do
Insta.
that today though,
Yeah,
so
but
that was terrible.
That might help.
Yeah, so
So-
for tomorrow I'll have an Instagram I'll have a countdown in Instagram, and all you have to do is just I don't know
You can click the,
Yeah,
the
if you-
countdown.
if you
and it
click
can
the
says,
countdown,
remind me.
exactly, it'll be like a little alarm,
Yeah.
and you'll just get a notification of when the video is, of when the live is going up. But also if you are subscribed, and if you click that little bell, I know that's what everyone
Yeah,
says, and
ring
it's
the
like,
bell.
yeah, I know it's like garbage, but
No,
if
but-
you do
but
that,
it helps.
and I hate notifications on my phone. I actually have everything like shut down, but there are a few like podcasts and channels that I have notifications for, and those I like. But I usually like comments on Instagram or WhatsApp, chats with my family. Everything is off, or every single thing is off. So I totally understand if you guys don't like to be notified by something. But if you click that bell, what that does is that it'll just send you a little notification, and it'll tell you, hey, this channel is live right now, and that could be an easy way. So whatever works for you guys.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Awesome
everyone.
hanging out once again. Hopefully tomorrow we won't speak about food. I'm gonna
Or-
try to.
or hopefully we would. We will.
We're gonna try to overfeed Danny today, so that tomorrow she feels no need to speak about food. So, thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye.
See you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Ya, ¿qué pasó, Samu?